four-time SEC champion and two-time national champion Christian Miller.
Once again with Christian Miller taking him down.
Here's college football playoff national champion Christian Miller on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC.
And welcome into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Hope you guys are doing well and ready for another day full of some good old sports talk, Chase. Today we got plenty of football that we're going to talk about, and for a couple of reasons. Number one, Tuesdays means it's a Talking Tuesday where we always encourage you guys to jump in on the conversation and join us. 205-342-9904. You're always invited to call in via the phone lines, or you can always download that Tidal 100.9 app, which also has a quick little shortcut. If you guys are listening via radio, you just click a little icon and it automatically dials us up. Or if you guys can't get on the phone, just want to sneak in a quick little message, maybe you're at work or you're driving, well, you probably shouldn't type the message and drive. Maybe let me backtrack. I'm not recommending you do that. If you're parked or something, maybe you can do it. Well, you can always leave us an app message and we can read it live on air. It'll come to the email, both on my end and on Chase's end, who's right there to my right if you're watching us on stream, which we had a comment, by the way, yesterday, Chase. I posted like basically I took the video portion of us talking about Scrimmage number 1, doing the recap there and dropping our little nuggets, and I posted that yesterday, and somebody, I guess they probably aren't familiar with us doing a live show because they're like, what's the point of having the other guy on the screen if he's not going to talk, man? They're like, I was like, no, that's Chase. Everybody knows Chase, man. Chase is our wonderful producer, man. And it was just that segment. Chase does talk, and he's allowed to speak. It's not like we have a muzzle on him, man. Chase can speak. He's got that big old microphone right there. He's just he's producing the show. He's working behind the scenes. So when we go to him and he offers us his wonderful basketball breakdowns, which they gave us some good luck the last couple times. Shout out to Chase with that. He definitely can speak. So yes, guys, Chase Brumfield right there, and Reed, who's also in the back. He also does a nice job helping us out. There you see him popping in the screen. They speak. They're allowed to speak. They're producing this show, and normally I'm just running my big old mouth, and they are just sitting back, listening, and helping the ship steer straight. So we appreciate all the work that they're doing. Speaking of a Talking Tuesday, you guys know how we get down. We always are joined by Clint Lamb at the top of the hour. So we will be talking with Clint. First time that we've had the chance to speak with Clint since Scrimmage number 1. So we'll get his thoughts on Scrimmage number 1, where Alabama's kind of at right now in I guess you call this week 3. Technically, it's kind of like week 4, Chase, because they had spring break. But you get my point. Week 3 of spring ball. They had practice yesterday. Today, I'm assuming it's more of just a workout, maybe walkthrough / meetings type day. They should be back on the practice field tomorrow. And then they're gearing up for another scrimmage, which hopefully I plan on getting out there. I talked with my dad yesterday, and he said, hey, he can hold the fort down and basically start the show off for us if that needs to happen. That way I can get up there and get better eyes on everything, because I would love to do that, right? I mean, obviously, I got a bunch of good intel, good knowledge on things, but I would love to kind of put eyes on a number of these guys and kind of where they're at currently as they go on through week 3 of spring ball. So we'll do that with Clint Lamb at the top of the hour of Cover Crimson. Really looking forward to that. And plus, Chase, I don't know, maybe the Pastor Payne will join us. He's been popping in pretty frequently, man. And I don't know. I got my suspicions is raised right now. I don't know if it's because his golf tournament's coming up and he loves auctioning off stuff. You hear him, he's got Adam on lock for that helmet, or I don't know, but maybe he's a little bit bored. I can't tell you, Chase. I don't know, but he's been popping in pretty frequently. So we might have another appearance from the Pastor Payne, which is always entertaining to say the least, because you never know exactly what the hell you're going to get with him, man. It's a little, Chase has to, the craziest thing out of all people that you probably have to have your finger on a dump button for, it's the pastor on the show, man. It's not like he's so saying crazy, like bad. But it's funny because he's not saying bad words, man. It's just something that's like yesterday. Oh, is he talking about annoying Tiger Woods? I don't know if you remember that part.
Backside or something?
Yeah. Saying maybe Tiger Woods to help heal that pain needs some annoying oil down his back. And I don't know, man. With some of the stuff that's kind of been going on recent years, some of these things going on in the music industry, I don't know. It just sounds a little bit different now, man. Now I will say, I'm familiar with, anointing oil on the forehead. Have you ever had that, Chase? I don't know if that's like a little bit of a Southern Baptist type thing. So not everybody's experienced that. So you're familiar with the anointing oil on the forehead?
I am indeed.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. He used to kind of throw me off with some of the stuff because like growing up, man, now he was like laying hands on people, and Pastor Payne is not a small guy. I mean, so he had these big old hands like palming people's faces, laying hands on them. And then they'd be like falling out. And I didn't know if they were falling out because they were catching the Holy Ghost. So they couldn't breathe because his big ass hand was covering their nose and mouth. You know what I mean? Like, and the annoying noise. I saw some stuff growing up that I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh God, this is a little intense, man. Church was a little intense with the Pastor Payne, as you can imagine. Former NFL linebacker, 9-year vet. Yeah, it definitely was very interesting. But he's definitely very passionate. He does a good job. Prayer used to be so long, Chase. When I tell you, me and my brother used to be sitting in that church, and he would just sit there and keep going. He's one of those people. You guys know people that pray and they keep looping something else in, like you think they're about done, like in the name of Jesus I pray. And we thank you. And they say another we thank you.
Man.
And they start going down a whole nother thing. Dude, it'd be like 20 minutes gone by. I'm just sitting here. I'd have like my Nintendo DS or whatever I had at the time. I'd be like, come on, man. I'm trying to play the game, man. Like, we're praying for 20 minutes. Oh, man. But, he is, that was a while ago. And he's pastoring a new church now, 1334. And I think he's changed a little bit, man. I think he can maybe speak on a little bit more. I think his services are like 45 minutes now. I mean, he's in and out. I think, his church is like, I say it's in a funny way. It's a little bit different now. Now it's like 95%, Southern white folks, man, and they love him, man. They love doing it. But I think the vibe is a little bit different from, when he was his original church was, kind of what we were talking about before. Now I think he's kind of, brought it in a little bit, but it's some good stuff. And anyway, I'll let him speak on that a little bit more. But it's always funny just talking about those memories because me and my brother used to joke about it, like, bro, there was nothing longer than his final prayer in church, man. I mean, it was like I felt longer than the whole services. Felt longer than the service itself. Anyway, sorry, I just wanted to get that out of the way, man. That story was just on my mind. That said, all right, we're about to hit us a timeout. When we come back, some of the main things that we want to dive into today, of course, is Alabama football topics, but I got a fun one for us today. I'm a defensive guy. Of course, I love defense, but I was sitting here yesterday, Chase, at the station, at the studio, I should say, my studio here. And I was like, man, kind of want to put together a little list on, we talk about all this stuff. I know some people are more visual, hence why we started streaming. That's why we stream on YouTube. Check us out at the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9 Facebook page, live on X as well. And I was like, I'm going to put together a graphic of what we've been talking about so people can get a visual of kind of how things seem to be coming together. So I put together a depth chart, or I'm not going to call it a depth chart because a depth chart would list, more than just the starters. We'll say a projected starters list or graphic, right? And I think it's pretty nice looking when I put it on the screen, man. I was proud of it. It took me some time, man. I stayed up pretty late doing it. But that said, it's got a lot of attraction and attention on X right now. A lot of people are discussing. So we're going to discuss it live on the show. We'll get Clint Lamb's thoughts on it as well. And eventually we'll move on to the offensive side of the ball. But for today, we're going to really discuss our projected starters on defense for the 2026 season. And I'll be able to really dive into kind of how I came up with it, what I think could look a little bit different in certain situations and all that good stuff. All coming up right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We're just getting started. Don't go anywhere first time out. We'll be right back.
When you need to know, there's only one place in West Alabama to go. The Tuscaloosa Thread. Download it for free now in the App Store or Google Play.
Listen hourly for Tuscaloosa Thread.
All right, let's see what we got in the chat. Let me share this link on X, by the way, too, because I think that'll be good to get some folks over from there that might have been checking out our projected defensive starters. So let me pull this up real quick. Hope you guys are doing well, man. If you guys are just getting in here, if you guys don't mind, you guys know the drill. Hit that like button, all that stuff. Smash it, get it out the way. We're going to dive into this projected defensive starters graphic that we came up with. I think you guys are going to like it. It's going to be a fun conversation, man. It's going to be a fun conversation. There's a lot of different ways and things that I think Kane Womack can do with this defense, and we're going to discuss all that. So Hope you guys are ready for that. Let me share this link over here real quick. And of course, you guys know the drill. If anything else comes up or anything that you guys want to discuss, man, you can always tag us in that on X. Plus, you can drop all those questions, comments, and concerns in the chat. I was about to say, I need to tell you guys, man, drop more questions in the chat. That way, if you guys have anything on your mind, even if we're talking about something else, we can always circle back to it. Maybe just put like that, what we used to do, like put a Q, that way I know exactly which ones are questions. All right, where's this? Let's see. All right, here we go. Let's respond with a link. And let's say breaking it down now live. And let's do the point down emoji. Okay, I can't do it like that. Let me see. Actually, I probably should quote tweet it. That'd probably be better. Let's quote tweet it. All right, now we get our point down symbol. Where is it at? Let's see. Let's search it. Point down. There we go. Breaking it down live now. Oh, I forgot. Got to put the link. Breaking it down live now. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know why it looks weird. Breaking it down live. All right. Sorry, guys. I've been trying to get that link posted. All right, where are we at? Let's see. Oh, we back already? My bad, guys. My bad. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Let me get adjusted real quick, Reed, because we're about to have ourselves a fun conversation. And yeah, now we got Reed behind the glass. So if you're wondering if Chase just bleached his skin during the commercial break or just or just magically had a I don't know, a ethnicity crisis. I know that's a different guy. That is our producer Reed, who's now taking over behind the glass. All right, so we're going to talk about this projected starters. So I'm going to call it that. I know I mentioned depth chart, but I think realistically a depth chart is going to include the 2s, 3s. We all know that. And I want to get to that, but I wanted it to look pretty, and I couldn't fit all these names and heights and weights, and Reed, it was starting to take a little while. So I was like, we're sticking with the starters. I think that's what people want to see anyways. People really care about that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and throw it up on the screen, Reed, and we're going to discuss it here. And I want to get your thoughts as well. And of course, everybody watching in the chat on YouTube, X, Facebook, all that good stuff, man. I'm going to put the graphic on the screen and you guys can see it if you haven't already. Want to get y'all's thoughts on it. What would you change? Do you think it's good the way it is? How confident are you in this unit if this does, in fact, ends up being the starting defense for 2026? Again, this is the base defense that we're predicting, right? Which means we're expecting a number of different packages, personnel groupings, all that good stuff. Just want to be clear there. However, in terms of when we say base defense, we're talking about the base unit where you're coming out in base, right? We're not talking about sub packages, just your base defensive unit. This is what we're predicting to be the starting group. That said, let's throw it up on the screen right here and make it bigger. And there you go. So that is our list. And for our radio listeners, I'm going to read these thoroughly. That way you guys can also not see what we're doing, but at least hear what we're talking about. So here we go. Defensive starters projected for 2026, starting up front with the defensive line. Now, again, with this being a base unit, we're talking about early down situations. And in my opinion, let me preface by saying, I think they'll have probably the way I view it, Reed, there's probably going to be like two base defenses. And what I mean by that is I think you're going to have a heavy base, and then I think you'll have a more athletic profile, right? Whether you want to call it true base or whatever you want to call it, just different packages. This specifically is what I'm envisioning for early down, expecting to run, first, second, and 10. We want to get big, strong, physical guys up front. Starting at Bandit, I've got Devin Tompkins. Now, initially, I know you guys are probably thinking, well, didn't you say he's a 3 technique and he's not going to play Bandit because he's at 300 pounds? Yeah, I'll be honest. When I saw 298, then he gained weight. Because when he first was transferring here, everybody I talked to said, yeah, they're scouting him as a 3 technique. They're scouting him to play inside. Yes, he could potentially kick out a little bit, but I think initially the idea was, he's going to help out on the interior, right? Provide, length, size, athleticism on the interior. But I think the more they've been around him, they've seen him, gotten to work with him. I mean, it's clear that this guy can provide a number of different roles for that defensive front. And really just look at it as imagine LT Overton last year, who was, at one point 280 something. Imagine a guy like that and the way he holds his weight, the builds and statures, they're similar, even though they're very different, if that makes sense, right? We're talking about a 6'5", 298-pound player, right? It's a little bit different than if he was like 6'3", 298. Totally different, frame. But with his frame, he in fact can play that bandit role. And again, this is in like early down situations, which makes total sense. Just like you saw guys like LT be able to kick out and play a 5 technique, no problem when he was playing bandit, right? A little bit different there in body types, but just kind of imagine a similar type role there. So I've got Devin Tompkins there, especially given the fact that, early down situations, I think he's better equipped to play the run than Zulu, who I'll mention here in a little bit, who I think also will see a lot of time potentially at the bandit spot. Next over, we got the nose tackle. I went ahead and put Terrence Green here, transfer from Oregon. He shed some weight. I think he's right now currently listed at 6'5", 319. To me, I think that he's going to fill in nicely at that nose spot. Now, I will say there's a number of guys that I think that are going to get reps, and I'll talk about some of my notes here in a minute. But Terrence Green, in my opinion, Reed, I think he's a guy that they're expecting to contribute heavily, and I just went ahead and put him in there at that nose spot, even though I think there is competition there. I've heard Bingley Jones has been doing some really good stuff so far through the spring. I know Beeman's coming back from injury. They were really excited about him last year, but he's working back from that injury. So, only time will tell kind of where he ends up at, probably closer to the season. But for now, I went ahead and put Terrence Green there because I've heard a number of good things about him. And, you bring a guy in like that, I think that he's expected to contribute heavily. Moving on to defensive tackle, a guy who played some nose last year, in which I'm sure you could still move around a little bit. But I went ahead and put London Simmons there, who I think is a better fit at defensive tackle, playing a little bit more of that 3 technique. He's currently out after he had some offseason, stuff, operations, whatever the case might be. So he's not participating in spring practice, but we all know when he comes back, he's a guy that they're definitely going to, pay a lot of attention to. Probably when I say build around, we'll just say to me, he feels like one of the core pieces on that defensive line. After having a freshman campaign last season, where, he was really impressive. I think he surprised a lot of people, talking about like a 3-star guy out of Mississippi that they added in that recruiting class after he came to camp, was offered a scholarship. He played some damn good football. I posted a clip yesterday of just showing some of the technique that he plays with, and I fully expect him to be a starter. I don't think anybody would disagree with that one. Another one I don't think people are going to disagree with, Janze Pierre-Wolf, right? We all know a leading sack producer from last season, a guy that I think is going to have an even better season this upcoming year. I think he's going to, put some things together. We had him on the show several weeks ago. He talked about wanting to improve, setting the edge, playing the run a little bit better. But from a pass rush standpoint, man, I mean, he's the guy, right? I mean, he's going to be the guy that you rely on to consistently generate pressure on the quarterback. And he's put on some weight and he's added some mass, and I just expect him to be even more of a terror off the edge this season. So my front four right there, Reed, just off the look of it, I mean, that's when they talk about getting bigger, I mean, that's what they're talking about. When they talk about wanting to play more base, with a group of guys like that, you're not required to slice and dice the front as much. You don't have to rely on all these stunts, the stuff that we were talking about yesterday. You can base things up, get into a true 4-down. You can play some odd fronts as well, but these guys should be more than capable of handling the line of scrimmage. And I think there is a chance, and we talked about this, how important the line of scrimmage is in that battle, especially defensively, being more physical, right? Setting the tone, playing on the other side. I think this group, if they can make the necessary steps and really come along the way you think they can, I think they can be a good group, right? And I'll get to this later, but I also believe there's a lot of depth in that group, Reed, where I fully expect to see a number of guys rotating amongst the defensive line. Let's move on to the second level. We'll go to the linebackers here. At Mike, I went ahead and put QB Reese. Now, I did mention in my notes, Caden Jones is a guy who's earning some opportunities. Luke Metz, another guy. Right now, I think the best way to put it is you got Caleb Woodson. You can kind of just go ahead and pencil him in as a starter. And a lot of guys are competing to see who's going to be his counterpart, right? I went with QB Reese here, even though I will say, if we're talking, base defense, I could see a world since QB Reese, even though in my opinion, I think he flashes. I think that he's going to play a lot. I could see a world where Luke Metz or Caden Jones actually gets the nod at Mike in base defense. And then in nickel and sub, well, this is nickel, but sub packages, when you're playing more, pass heavy teams, right? You want a little bit more speed and athleticism out there. QB Reese might come in with him being a little undersized. Example for you guys would be like when I was here in our base defense, we'd have guys like, Reggie Ragland, Trey DePriest, some of those bigger linebackers. But then when we go to nickel, we'd have more athletic backers come in the game. They're a little bit better in coverage, provide a little bit more athleticism at the position. But I got Caleb Woodson at the sting, taking over for Deontay Lawson. Then you got Mike QB Reese / Caden Jones / Luke Metz. I think it really just depends kind of who really ends up separating themselves, and maybe if one guy's a better fit for certain packages. But I just went with QB Reese because I think right now, in terms of impressions, I think those two guys have probably made the most. At Husky, sticking with Red Morgan there. Love the way he plays. Added a little bit weight. Still just shy of 190, but a very aggressive defender. He can come up and run support. He holds his own. He sets the tone. Love how physical he plays, not being a very big guy. No questions there. And I'll be honest with the secondary. I think everybody's already penciled in from last season, right? Xavier Brown at corner. I won't waste your time. Xavier Brown at corner. Dijon Lee on the other side, and at the safety spots, Bray Hubbard and Keon Sabb. I know some people are wondering about who's more of the free safety versus strong safety. In this system, they're almost interchangeable, very similar. Those guys rotate a whole bunch. Sometimes you'll see Keon back deep in the, as a free safety. Sometimes he's coming down, playing in the box. I just went off of what the depth chart had them as last season. They had Bray Hubbard listed as a free safety and Keon Sabb listed as a strong safety. Realistically, it's not very, very different in Kane Wommack's system. So that was my list of starters, or projected starters, I should say, for 2026. That being said, we're due for a timeout, but when we come back, I'll talk about some potential sub packages or some tweaks and things that I do think you could see with this defense. And we'll talk about the offense at some point, not today. We'll dive into that maybe tomorrow or the next day. But during this timeout, I want you guys to take a look over this list again and let me know what you guys think about this projected starters list for 2026. Is there anybody that you would change on this list? Are you confident with the defense like this? If you felt like this was the group, how confident would you be in this defense's upcoming season? I want to hear from you guys. 205-342-9904. We got Clint Lamb at the top of the hour from Cover Crimson. We'll do all that on the other side, right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
This is Riley Green with Boot Ball.
Let's see what you guys got in the chat. I'll leave that up for a second so you can see it. Jake, what's up? Kenji, what's up? Dwight, what's up? Nick, what's up? Ellis, what's going on? You'll be here. Oh wait, Friday. Ellis said he's gonna be at the Scrimmage Friday, man. I'm gonna have to try to find you, man. Is it open for Yale, Alabama? Is that what that is? Or are you a big time booster, Ellis? Maybe Ellis is a secret big time booster, man. He spends all that time working. That way he can support Yale, Alabama. Is that what that is, Ellis? Travelpreneur, what's up? Dabu, what's up? Carson, what's going on? Jake with a question. Here we go. How many backers and front seven guys to see actual playing time? Good question. Man, just looking at the defensive line, right? I mean, or we'll start with Bandit. Zulu's going to play, right? Going over to Wolf. Justin Hill's going to play. So those are two more guys. The D tackle and nose tackle spots. Bingley Jones is going to contribute. Steve Zimbabwe, if I'm saying his last name right. I call him Big Steve. That's that. I've always just called him Big Steve. Big Steve is doing some good stuff. But I think it's also important to remember, I mean, there's only so many reps that guys can get, right? And it's all about who can really separate themselves. And even if a guy is tearing it up in the spring, it doesn't even guarantee that you're going to see a whole bunch of them this season. I mean, I think Steve is on the right track. I mean, it's way too early to say that he's going to be a heavy contributor. Without a doubt, I do believe that he's going to see his role increase. You know what I mean? If he continues on this path. So you can maybe throw him in there. But right now, I would feel strongly about Terrence Green definitely being a contributor. London Simmons, without a doubt. Bingley Jones, no doubt about him contributing. I mean, I'm close to putting Big Steve there because I know that he's getting reps with the ones right now, and he's doing some good stuff there. But the first three I mentioned are like without a doubt. I mean, Beeman, before he got hurt last year, I mean, there was talk about him potentially overtaking Tim for a number of reps, right? So, I mean, you're talking probably, I think I just listed at least 8 to 9 guys. I would say just on the defensive line itself, I mean, the 2 deep would definitely be 8, right? So, I mean, I would say potentially up to 10 guys just on the front alone. Linebacker-wise, and I'll hit my notes here when we come back in 2 seconds, but matter of fact, right now, I'll give you my notes. We'll piggyback off there. Here we go.
Home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
And we're back on this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. I just gave you guys the graphic. We threw it on the screen. I'll throw it back real quick. Whoa, pause. I'll throw it back on the screen real quick. That way you guys can see the graphic itself. And just to recap, if you guys are just tuning in or you guys just tune in via radio or the streams, again, check us out on the Miller's Edge on YouTube, on X as well at the Miller's Edge, and the Tide 100.9 Facebook page. If you guys prefer to watch the show, right? We always offer that to you as well. We went Bandit, Devin Tompkins, nose tackle, Terrence Green, London Simmons at 3 technique, D tackle, Wolf, Yanze Pierre. We went QB Reese and Caleb Woodson for our linebackers, and cornerbacks and safeties. You guys already know the whole defensive secondary. You guys already know Xavier Brown, Dijon Lee, Red Morgan at Husky, Keon Sapp, and Bray Hubbard at the safety spots. Those were our projected starters for 2026 in their base package. So here we go. Let's go ahead and look at these notes that I listed as well, because again, a graphic, I can't get all my thoughts out. That's why I'm glad that we have this platform so I can sit there and run my mouth, right? It's even just tweeting sometimes is hard to do. So for our notes, I wanted to throw in here, expecting there to be another base package. And what I mean by this is when you want more athleticism, when you want a more athletic profile with your personnel, especially up front, let's say you're playing a team that runs a lot of spread read, a team that has a dual threat quarterback. You play Texas A&M. You got Marcel Reed, really good athlete. Would I recommend us playing this base package? Probably not. Just because I personally, if I'm the defensive coordinator, I would rather have a guy like Zulu playing at Bandit, right, off the edge, running down a guy like Marcel Reed than I would Devin Tompkins, right? Now, we're playing a team that, say we're playing Georgia, and you know they're going to be physical, right? Not say we're playing. We do play Georgia's, but we line up against Georgia, and you want to have a dominant defender in that C area that can whoop a tight end's tail, right? Set the tone and set the edge. I want to kick Devin Tompkins in that bandit spot. So this is what I mean by multiple packages. So that sub package, I don't even want to call it a true sub package. I guess you can call it a sub package. We'll just call it that for now. I would say Desmond Umeo Zulu. We're just going to say Zulu. I would put him at bandit. I would take Terrence Green out. I would kick Devin Tompkins to the 3 technique spot, the defensive tackle spot. I would probably slide London Simmons in at nose, or, just because I feel like at this point, London can play nose. And even though I like him better at 3 technique, if I had to pick between Terrence Green or him, you really could do either one, but you get my point. More than likely, you kick him down the nose. And then at the Wolf spot, you have Yonze Pierre. So really just a small change, but that would be the other front for me. And then, like I mentioned with the linebacker spot, if we're going true big body base, not big body bends, Reed, big body base, maybe slide Luke Metz or Caden Jones in QB Reese's spot, and then flip it when we go back to that kind of sub package. We want a little bit more athleticism. You see QB Reese come in there. Continuing on with the notes, I mentioned that the various packages and the personnel groupings are going to help provide more flexibility and take advantage of the versatility and depth of this defense. We kind of just talked a little bit about that versatility up front, right? That's always helpful for a defensive coordinator. Plus, not to mention, right, like part of the reason versatility is so important is for a number of reasons. But in today's game, tempo is a big thing. Tempo wasn't as popular as it was, back then it wasn't as popular as it is now. I mean, it was popular with me. When I first got here, that's when it really started to kick into gear. But what does that versatility allow you? It allows you not to have to worry so much about subbing, right? You're not sitting there freaking out saying, oh, man, they just went 11 personnel. We're trying to get these guys out here. No, when you have versatile players that can move around, instead of having to sub, they can kick and play other spots, and it helps provide many more options and less stress on the defensive coordinator. Justin Hill, I know a lot of people have been asking about him. Him and Zulu, they should see a very high number of reps. I know you don't see them on the graphic as starters, but remember, especially nowadays, man, you do not have to be a starter to play a whole lot of snaps. Technically, like my senior year, I only started on paper, a handful of games. Why is that? Because I told you guys when there's a whole argument about the 3-4 versus the 4-2-5, we played so much nickel. Half the time, we would start the game in nickel. I was a starter in our base 3-4. So even though I was listed as a starter on paper, if we came out in nickel the first play of the game, I didn't get credit as a starter. Hence why I got Justin Hill and Zulu. Those guys are going to play a lot of snaps, but they might not just be listed as starters in that base depth chart package whole deal. You get the point. I also mentioned the multiple contributors at linebacker. I think right now you got those 4 names we mentioned really earning opportunities. Probably even at some point see a system where, similar to what we saw last couple of years with 3 guys really contributing, even though in nickel you only play 2 backers at a time. I fully expect something like that to be the case this season. And then the depth at defensive line, in my opinion, I think will allow for a number of players to get a lot of snaps and also be rotated. And I know Jake asked that question about, how many guys do we see playing amongst the front 7? I think there could be a lot of guys. I think there could be a lot of rotating being done on this defense. And then last but not least, I wanted to mention some of these young guys that have been, making some waves so far during spring. You talk about Ivan Taylor. You asked me that question about second-year players. He was one I mentioned. Keon Sabb, I think he was the first guy. Ivan Taylor was the first player he mentioned, right? He's been doing some really good stuff. There's a number of young players. Jaire Edwards, I mean, we know the talent that he has. Just because you don't see them on, a starting list, I think these guys are really talented. Yes, they have some players in front of them. They might not be starters, but I think if they continue doing what they're doing, they could definitely earn themselves more opportunities and carve out some roles. I even look at Xavier Griffin, right? I know I didn't mention him, but he's so talented. He's been, putting in the work in the weight room and, getting bigger, getting stronger. He's developing nicely. I mean, it could get to a point where he even has some type of role in maybe it's a third down package, whatever the case may be. I think there's a number of young guys that you have to consider. Drake Kirkpatrick Jr., maybe in, these dime situations, who's going to come in and dime? Zay Mincy has seen a lot of time. I think he's clearly going to continue to get reps. There's a number of young guys that I think will play a lot. You just don't see them on this graphic. So I just wanted to be clear. Just because you don't see them on the graphic, trust me, they should get some burn and definitely contribute this upcoming season. So that was pretty much everything that I had on that, Reed. I know there was a couple of questions. I know why I mentioned Caden Jones, and I definitely think that he's, pushing to earn some opportunities without a doubt. I saw Carson that commented on X. Said, I think this team has a lot of flexibility with the versatile body types. We will probably see a lot of movement with the guys at different spots. Like you mentioned, Yonze at Bandit some. And, yeah, I think that is definitely a possibility depending on, situation. Because I mentioned this too. I think Offsides had asked that question about can, Justin Hill and Yonze be on the field at the same time? Absolutely, yes. And the way that works is, we call like a rabbits package. Rabbits is just, 2 speed guys off the edge. So it can be nickel rabbits, which means you still are just working with nickel personnel, which is just 5 DBs, 2 linebackers. But then you end up with 2 edge guys, right? Or 2 outside backers, 2 athletic players on the edge. And then dime rabbits is the same thing, except now you're going dime personnel, 1 linebacker and 6 defensive backs. So that said, there definitely could be a possibility where they're both on the field at the same time. However, Justin Hill, I mean, we're still trying to see if he's going to have an increased role as a pass rusher. I think right now it's leaning a little bit more towards like Yanze Pierre and Zulu, right? There's definitely going to be opportunities for Justin Hill to be out there. But I think the more he can provide as a pass rusher, the more opportunities that are going to become available to him outside of those early down situations. But there still are possibilities that he is on the field at the same time in early down situations, like the example with Texas A&M, right? If I'm playing Marcel Reed, if I'm playing any of these dual threat quarterbacks that can run, we need some guys, and we need some athletic players out there to chase them down. I think Yanze would bump to the bandit. Now, I think that's what would happen. Yanze would bump the bandit, then you'd have Justin Hill going at Wolf, because when you're in those rabbit situations, when you're in nickel rabbits or dime rabbits, you're expecting a lot of pass, and more than likely you want those guys on the edge, hence why they're in the game. They're not going to really be, asked to kick down nearly as much as they would if one of them switched down to bandit in, a true base package or a situation like that, right? P and 10, and you're not in a situation where you're facing a dual threat quarterback or a pass heavy offense. So yes, there are situations that those two players, without a doubt, can be on the field at the same time. And I fully expect it, right? I mean, that is the expectation, just depending on who you're playing and the personnel that you're playing against. Reed, I know we're due for a timeout. Real quick, do you want to chime in on this before we hit this break? Anything that you would throw in here? Anybody that you would switch out? How are you feeling about the list? Are you confident with it? I know a lot of people on X, man, they saw the graph and they're like, damn, that looks like a dang good defense. Immediately they jump to the secondary and they say, hey, that looks like potentially one of the best secondaries in the country. Then you take a look at the front seven, you're like, man, some big dudes up there. I mean, they look like Tarzan. If they can play like them, we might have a chance. What do you think, Reed?
No, Christian, I think you spoke for, really on my behalf. I think when you look at that secondary, I see a lot of experience, a lot of returning starters, and I think that really is going to equate to, like you were talking about, one of the best, if not the best secondary in the country there. And then once you actually showed up, of course, size and stats aren't everything, but once you see those, 300-pound big guys on the front four right there, I'm like, man, you kind of, you'd expect us to kind of, I don't know, just be more. I wouldn't say we weren't aggressive last year, but we weren't, like you pointed out, big. And so I think you kind of nailed it there. The question, and I'll just kind of bounce it back to you, is, of course, I wouldn't assume secondary, but is there a position group, whether it is the front four or that linebacker core, that you feel like is the most unknown, or the most that you're just kind of like, you're not exactly sure how that's going to fall out? Because I know you were talking about QB Reese, potentially that he's not like, the definite starter. You could see multiple guys swapping out for him, but is there a certain group, or is it just that position?
I would say linebacker is probably the biggest one, in my opinion, Reed. I mean, defensive line, definitely there's plenty of competition there, but if you look at it, you break it down and go down the line, I would say Yanze, check mark, / Justin Hill behind him. I would say you got London Simmons, check mark. He's definitely going to be a starter without a doubt. I mean, I would be shocked if he ends up not starting. Say for whatever reason, maybe him coming back from injury. I don't know, but fully expect him to be a starter. And then really, I mean, Devin Tompkins, the way, people have been impressed by him, right? The things that he's done so far this spring, I just find it hard to believe he wouldn't be in a starting role. At this point, I just think he has to, whether it's at 3 technique or whether it's at bandit, whatever the situation. I think that's the biggest question, right? Where is he? Is he going to be at 3 technique, or is he going to be at bandit? He's going to play both, but depending on the situation. So those 3 guys immediately, I think, are there. Then depending on where he plays, I think it, kind of will dictate who is going to be the 4th guy up front, whether that's a guy like, Terrence Green, or bringing in a guy like Zulu when when Tompkins kicks down to a 3. So I would say right now, I mean, and I know there's only one question mark, it feels like, because Caleb Woodson feels like a penciled in starter at this point, but I still feel like the linebacker spot has more more of an uncertainty to it than I even feel like with the defensive line. And just in my opinion, as of now, and hopefully those concerns and question marks continue to get answered as we roll through week 3 of spring ball. We got to hit a timeout. We come back. We got one more segment before we're joined by Clint Lamb. And Clint said he's going to join the stream today, man. I see Clint all over the place on X, man. So finally, he's joining our stream. Normally, he's on the phone lines, but we'll have him on our stream. So if you guys want to watch me and Clint chop it up, you can join us here on the Miller's Edge YouTube channel, on the Tide 100.9 Facebook page, or our X account as well on the Miller's Edge. We got to hit a quick timeout. When we come back, we keep rolling right here, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan.
All right, let's see what our chat's saying. Crystal, what's going on? Carson says Terrence Green or Jeremiah Beeman health considered. I just think right now, I mean, I think it's just trending a little bit more with Terrence Green, especially, given the fact that I think Jeremiah Beeman's still working back from that. But I mean, if he builds off of, what he was doing last season, I should say, before he was injured, I fully expect him to get back in there and have a considerable role. Can you put full screen? Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, the best way I can do it is like that. That's considered full screen. Now, I think there might be a way of me basically making, but now you can't see me. And I don't even think that's that much bigger. So that's why I leave it on that one. Agent, what's up? Smitty, what's up? Raw was good last night. Oba's over big time. Man, listen, I should have took Oba up or I should call him Isaac. When he said he was like down to jump on the show, I hit him up like a year ago, man. But I was like, I just squeezed in at a time. Or on here, man, sometimes I'm like, I didn't realize at the time we had so many wrestling fans. So I was like, I probably just squeeze it in where things are a little bit slower, because I don't know how many people are wrestling fans or have knowledge on all that. But now I'm like, man, I should have just got him on here. But we still could hopefully make it happen. Just might have to wait till after WrestleMania. At this point, man, he's he's so big time, brother. I don't even know if we'd be able to. Let's see. Let's find Clint's thing. Actually, I can text it to him, I think. Or let's see. New conversation. Here we go. All right, cool. Yeah, we got Clint jumping on today. It's going to be fun. Sorry, sneeze real quick. More confident in this defense than I am with the offense. That's actually a good question, man. That's a good question. Who was that? Patriotic. That's a good question. Are you guys feeling a little bit more confident about the offense right now or the defense as things stand? I know nobody's been able to see anybody. I mean, it's probably a better question to ask following a day, but that's a good question, man. That's a good question. What in the world? That's a crazy response. I have no idea what I just read. Secondary confident, defensive line not very confident. Mario, what's up? Yeah, I mean, I understand still having some current concerns about the defense line. I'll be completely honest with you. The way I put it is I feel a little bit more optimistic than I did several weeks ago when I was still trying to learn about some of these guys, some of the new players. But I'm not fully sold just yet that how do I put this? Because here's the thing. I'll go back to what I was saying when we were talking about the whole transfer portal time. I mean, to act like we didn't have like solid players last year, I mean, that would be wrong in my opinion. I mean, LT Overton is going to be a draft pick, a potential, third round type guy, in my opinion, a day 2 potential player. Tim Keenan, I mean, he he might not flash a whole bunch if you're just kind of just watching, I guess from just like a surface level standpoint. But when you watch the tape and you see and realize how beneficial it was to have somebody like that eating up blocks and, how much he contributed, even though it might not have showed up on the stat sheets. I mean, that's a good player that you lose. James Smith, I know people have an opinion about him, especially given the fact that he transferred. But, I mean, a lot of potential there, and he left. And I just look at this group, and I think they look to be a solid group. I think they have potential to do some things well. But do I look at them as a major upgrade from what we even saw over the last couple of years? I don't know if I can say that still. However, I do feel a little bit more optimistic on where we're at right now after a few weeks of spring ball than I was maybe before everything kicked off. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We've been talking our projected starters for the defense with Alabama football in 2026. We've been reading some of y'all's responses here in the chat. Again, we do have Clint Lamb joining us here in several minutes, so we will get his thoughts on this list and also his thoughts and breakdown from everything coming out of Scrimmage number 1. They are due for another one in a few days, and hopefully I'll be able to make it up there and lay eyes on it and get an even better glimpse of these projected starters for this upcoming season. They had a good question from Patriotic Read, and I know it's going to be better suited for post A-Day, but I just want to throw it out there real quick. I mean, I'm sure people have heard plenty of stuff, and maybe just going off of maybe the concerns that they might have had or whatever the case may be, but he threw this out there. He said, right now, he's more confident in the defense than he is the offense. And it just kind of made me think, that's an interesting question. I mean, where do people stand? Where do our fans stand right now based off of what they've heard, maybe what they've heard from the coaches in the press conference, what they've heard from various media outlets, going off even last season, the production that we might have lost, the people replacing. Speaking of production loss, I mean, to be fair, I think you only have, 3 returning starters on offense. I mean, you got Ryan Williams, Michael Carroll, Daniel Hill.
Yeah.
I mean, you can maybe throw in Latsier Brooks. I'm sure he technically got a couple starts. You know what I mean? So it's like a few guys returning. So that makes sense. There's definitely a lot more returning production on defense.
And Christian, also, and that's another thing too, is that this question can also be suited for both pre-A-Day and post-A-Day too, because going into it, kind of what's the expectations? Are people feeling more confident in the defense and the offense? And then once we see that, that A-Day production, then do fans really feel more confident, I guess, in that offense? At least personally, me, I'm kind of leaning a little bit more toward the defense. I think because of there's so many unknowns on the offense. Kind of, I wouldn't make it kind of concerning, but it's really I just have to wait and see, hey, is this what we expect? The offensive line, is it as good as we're hoping it's going to be, or is it going to kind of be similar to last season?
No, that's a great point. And I think if I had to give an answer on, like you mentioned, pre-A-Day right now, where am I more confident? Man, that's such a good question. I'll be honest. I don't even know if I have a great answer without really trying to think it over. You brought up the offensive line. I'm always going to be cautiously optimistic. I'll give you an example. Last season, PFF came out and they listed our offensive line as the number 1 offensive line unit in the country. I believe we were number 1, maybe number 2, but it was number 1.
We were number 1. I remember.
Yeah. And maybe another site might have had us 2 or 3. We were a top offensive line unit preseason last year. And again, no disrespect to anybody else that covers football here, but I remember everybody was kind of pushing that and kind of leaning into that, saying Alabama's got the number 1 preseason offensive line. You know who was one of the few people that gave pushback on that? Both me and my dad. We were like, with all due respect, it's just I can't say I've seen a number 1 offensive line unit out of the guys that we had. I still don't know where they came up with that. I mean, you know what I mean? I think they were going off of names maybe. I know Brailsford was like a freshman All-American or something at Washington, which he's a really good football player. I really respect his work, man. He's got a lot of good tape. Caden Proctor's name, I mean, it's always been, up there when it comes to, draft conversations, returners at start. I mean, I get it. I mean, he started at left tackle, I think, every single game of his career at the University of Alabama. And while we said, even his freshman year, while people were kind of trashing him, listen, down the road, he's going to be a future first-round pick, which we're about 3 weeks away from that, and it sounds like we were right about that one too. But I just still didn't see enough out of that unit to say that. And what happened? They ended up definitely not playing like that. That said, I got to stick with my football instinct like I did last year. I know right now it seems like there's a lot of positive stuff coming out, even just one scrimmage. And I know that you're starting to hear guys name starters, and I think that's giving a lot of fans a belief like, oh, that means like these guys are crushing it already. But I'm reserving my judgment, Reed, and I'm just going to say I can't sit here and say I'm super confident just yet in the offensive line unit. I think there is a chance that you see maybe some better execution. Get that, better execution. I don't know because I mean, last year we had good players. You know what I mean? It's not like you just had terrible players and that's why they were bad. I mean, you had good players. You had a first rounder at left tackle, a guy at center who's going to be a draft pick, a freshman All-American. I mean, like 3 out of the 5 guys I just named were solid players, but they couldn't put it together. I think this group, under the direction of Coach Clem, and with that being an emphasis, I think there could be some improvements in that aspect. But I have to see the new talent that's replacing what we had last year. And there's just a lot of youth, a lot of newness. I mean, if you heard Daniel Hill, he kind of caught himself, but he kind of was alluding to the fact yesterday, we still got a ways to go. He started to say something like that, then he circled back and said, everybody's doing a good job. And that's kind of what I've gathered. I think that the consistency in the run game is still coming along. Now, we've got plenty of time to the season. The good news is in terms of pass pro, a lot of people had some positive things to talk about with pass pro, which, to be fair, this offense wants to throw the football. And I think that was a little bit of an issue at times last season. Maybe not as bad as some people made it seem at times, but it needed to be better. And I think there's a chance that definitely cleans up. But running the football, man, you got to have balance. And that's what probably concerns me the most about that unit. So until I get some more answers there, I have to reserve my judgment and just say I'm cautiously optimistic. But a really good question from Patriotic. Are you more confident as things stand right now in the defense for this upcoming season or the offense? Really good stuff. We got to hit this top of the hour break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson. First time here on the stream, man. So we'll welcome him in here in a moment. And we'll talk some Alabama football, scrimmage number 1, get his recap on that. Plus, we'll continue talking about our projected starters on defense and more right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa.
Hold on, let me mute that. Let's get Clint on here. Boom.
What's up, man?
Clint?
How you doing, brother?
Man, can't call it, man. Glad to have you on the stream, man.
Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here. Good week of practice last week. Good information, good scrimmage.
Oh, yeah.
So anytime we can start getting this content cranked and rolled up, I'm ready to rock and roll, brother.
Oh, yeah. No, I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, we'll definitely get your thoughts on that. I know there's been a lot of conversations coming out of scrimmage 1, and then we've been playing around. I put together a projected starters list on defense. I'll ask your thoughts about it. Matter of fact, let me see if I'll throw it up here. That way you can take a look at it. I don't know. Can you see that? Is that big enough on your screen?
I'll tell you what I can do. Is that on Twitter?
Yeah. Go to our Twitter and you can see it.
Got it pulled up.
All right, perfect. I was about to say, I want to get your thoughts, see if you agree with it, you would change anything. And just to preface, so I went with big nickel being our base, meaning, P and 10 early down situations. I do believe that there's probably going to be a sub package to this where if you're playing Texas A&M and Marcel Reed, you take Terrence Green out, you kick, Tompkins to 3 technique. London maybe to nose, or you leave Terrence Green, which I would probably keep London in there for sure. But you get the point. You bring in Zulu at Bandit. I think those would be the 2 fronts that you see in our base. And then I put QB Reset linebacker right there at Mike, just because I think right now everything's trending with those 2 guys. However, I could see a world with Luke Metz and Caden Jones. They've been getting opportunities with them being bigger bodies, maybe in that bigger base package. You swap QB Reese, and then when you're going more of that sub package, you see Reese there in those situations. So just some quick little notes for you.
Yeah, I love that. I think you're 100% right. As far as the heavy versus, rabbits, I always called it heavy nickel. I know it's big nickel. I had a hard
Same
time
thing.
breaking. Yeah,
Oh,
same thing. That's just what I always called it. But yeah, the Devin Tompkins playing the Justin Aboybe type of role, having some inside out versatility. And I definitely think that Tompkins, based off of what I've been hearing, I've heard he's been doing pretty well at both.
Oh yeah.
So I'm excited about him, but I think he gives you some flexibility. I mean, the entire group, but Des Zulu is another one who, I think he's playing more bandit now from what I've been hearing. And I've heard he's been doing well, but I also think that they're going to make sure they try to keep him out of the B gap as much as possible.
Yeah, no, and it makes sense. I mean, just watching his tape, I mean, it's just he's not the most comfortable there, but
yeah.
And fair enough. Hell, I mean, granted, he's bigger than I was, but I best believe I didn't want any parts of no 4-eye when I was here. I mean, they already had to make me play a 6 technique half the time and tight 5s, and I'm like, golly, man, I want to be a 9 technique. So
yeah,
4-eye, yeah, that's a different. You gotta you gotta know how to bump when you get down to that 4-eye, man. That's
100%. Yeah, when they didn't put any sort of significant weight on him, it was like, well, I mean, one of two things: either A, they're not going to ask him to do it, or they're gonna, they're gonna stay in a situation where he's playing a lot of Wolf, and so I don't think Wolf. Granted, he could see some boundary side stuff, but right now, I think Bandit putting him to the field side. I think him and it's from the way it's trending, it feels like Devin Tompkins and Des Zulu are probably going to be your two primary guys out there, at least to start the year. And then you'll see some some Cavante Henry. You might see some Jamarian Latham when he comes back. We'll have to wait and see. And you're going to see Yanze Pierre, and situationally. So I'll be curious to see what those obvious passing situations look like, because they were trying a bunch of different options this past season, a bunch of them.
Yeah, and the good news is you got a lot of different guys to work with, kind of see, and we'll talk about it here in a second. Let me bring us back. We're coming back now. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, where we're joined by our guest who joins us every Tuesday here on the Miller's Edge at the top of the hour, Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson. First time him joining us here on the stream, which is really cool, man. It's fun, man. We got Clint on here. So if you guys want to watch us do the show, at the Miller's Edge on YouTube, at the Miller's Edge on X, and of course on the Tide 100.9 Facebook page. Without further ado, Clint, man, welcome in, man. A lot of football to dive into.
Yeah, I'm super pumped, man. Just everything going on. Obviously, they had the 10-day hiatus prior to last week. It was slow. They gave us a little bit of a taste and then pulled it away from us. And now we're able to dive in, got a scrimmage to react to. I think we got some really valuable information. Granted, obviously, when you're not able to see it with your own eyes. And if I'm not mistaken, you'll probably be down there this weekend, right?
Yeah, the plan is to definitely head out there. The problem was with it being on Friday. It always was on Saturday. So the whole time I'm like, all right, cool. Now that we're starting at 11, I'm like, I'll head out there on Saturday and we'll be good. Then I look at the schedule. I'm like, wait, Friday? Like Friday at 9. So I'm like, man, come on, man. But I talked to my dad, man. I'm like, all right, you might have to intro the show or kind of get us going for the first few minutes. But yeah, I'm going to plan on getting out there, getting some eyes on it. And I'm excited, man. There's definitely a lot to look out for. And like you mentioned, a lot of stuff coming out from scrimmage number 1. So tell us a little bit about, kind of what you've been hearing, Clint. I know you've made a lot of content. If you guys haven't, man, check out the work that they do at Cover Crimson. But we'd love for you to kind of just give us your thoughts on where everything stands coming out of scrimmage number 1, Clint.
Yeah, I think the number one thing is Ryan Coleman Williams is doing fantastic stuff. He's in. When you look at the talent, I understand drops were an issue. I understand that from a confidence standpoint, it really started to weigh on him. It was pretty apparent. But I think him getting to play outside a lot more this upcoming season is really going to help him. You got Lottie, who's going to be your primary slot. But just the confidence that he's playing with right now and the way that he can make, miraculous catches. He's always been a guy who could be kind of a ball winner for you. He's not a 6'4", 6'5" type of receiver. He's not Mike Evans. But he's going to be able to climb the ladder a little bit due to his athleticism, and he can make some tough catches. So he's doing some great things. We're hearing good things about Noah Rogers and Cedarian Morgan as far as that wide receiver room, offensive line. From what I heard, the scrimmage started off pretty offense heavy. They really started strong and had a lot of success early. Defense really started to get some key stops late, especially situationally. And so it was a battle. Like, obviously, if there's going to be a winner, there's going to be a loser too. And so you're encouraged by how the offense started, but the defense was able to bow up and respond. And I'm intrigued about that defensive line. We were talking about it, during the break, and just the versatility of that bunch. It's going to be a fun group, but I'm excited to see really how exactly Devin Tompkins ends up being used. We know he's going to play bandit. We know he's going to play on the interior, but to what extent, and situationally, like if I were you this weekend, that would probably be one of the top things I was looking at, is just how those defensive front guys are being used. Are they getting Yanze and Justin Hill on the field at the same time? How often is it? What are they asked to do when they're playing in those roles? All these various things is so fascinating to me, but I'm also really excited about seeing how it all comes together.
Yeah, and I think defensively, there's just so many things, like you mentioned, that they can do, the flexibility, just the versatility that those guys have. And I think a lot is going to kind of revolve around a guy like Devin Tompkins, kind of like we've been discussing. I mean, when he's at bandit, right, who comes in, whether it's, Simmons and Terrence Green, and if he kicks down to that defensive tackle spot, I think Zulu more than likely comes in. And I think it just provides different ways to defend and match personnel. We talked about this, during the break. I mean, Texas A&M, a guy like Marcel Reed, I'm sure you could probably have Devin Tompkins at bandit, but I would feel much better about Zulu being on the edge and kicking Devin Tompkins down, right? And I think that's what's nice about some of the new additions that we have. And even a guy like Yanze, who's put on a few pounds, where you mentioned him and Justin Hill on the field at the same time. I think Yanze is capable of bumping down to bandit, because when you're in those rabbit, personnel groupings, more than likely you're not expecting guys to have to kick down much anyways. Most of those calls in that package are going to have them both on the edge. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for a number of those guys. I want to ask you about linebackers, Clint. Caleb Woodson, I feel like, is kind of penciled in as a starter right now, the way they're talking about him, the things that he's done so far this spring, even, not just on the field, but even from a leadership perspective. I think it's safe to say he's, the guy that they're trying to work around. QB Reese is the guy that flashes a lot, but I also hear a lot about Caden Jones, doing some good stuff. Luke Metz as well. Is it, to your understanding, that maybe you could see a similar type situation from the last two seasons where, we have three guys rotating in, even though we play so much nickel? You really, expect to play two backers, but, Nakai Hill-Green coming in the year before, you had, Jahad Campbell and Justin Jefferson and Deontay Lawson. Do you think we see another year like that? That's kind of what I feel. It could be three, maybe even four guys up to at the linebacker spot that all are contributing for this defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you even saw at South Alabama, they had a three-man rotation, at least at off-ball linebacker, with Khalil Jacobs, who ended up transferring to Missouri, had some success there. He's going through the NFL draft process, and I actually think he's doing pretty well. But, that's one where they're going to want to rotate at that position, I think, overall. Now, if you get two guys that are just clearly ahead of everybody else, I think they wouldn't mind sticking with two. I think Caleb Woodson is going to be one of those players. But that other spot, and really I would say the other two spots, that's completely up for grabs. You got three quality candidates. We'll have to see if Xavier Griffin at some point starts to get in the mix somewhere. I haven't heard really anything as far as him being one of those early guys that's already starting to get some action or some reps with the first team. Even a guy like Jordan Edmonds, he's getting some action with the first team. He's not expected to overtake Dijon Lee or Xavier Brown. I don't even think he's going to be cornerback 3 over Carmelo O'Neal, but he's a guy who's seeing some action with the ones. I haven't really heard anything about Xavier Griffin getting those same types of opportunities, but at some point he might start to push for some sort of role or playing time. But in these beginning stages, I think definitely you're going to see 3. I would be shocked with 4. I think that's probably too much. But yeah, I agree. Caleb Woodson's probably going to be the guy, the primary, the green dot player who you're expecting to be on the field pretty much every snap. I think he's got the skill set for it. Now, granted, if you're playing certain teams or certain offenses, as you mentioned, you might want to get a little bit bigger. And granted, he's probably, I guess he is the biggest linebacker on the roster from a weight standpoint, but just how he plays the game, I think, as far as banging between the tackles and stuff, I don't feel like that's a strength for him. We'll have to wait and see what the added weight will help him do. But, I thought that was some of the deficiency, or one of the deficiencies I saw from him at Virginia Tech. So I'm excited to see how this linebacker room comes together. QB Reese would probably be one. I have seen a lot of clips and photos and everything where either Caden Jones or Luke Metz is out there with the ones. I know QB Reese is getting his opportunities as well. That's not to say that he's not, because you've also seen him in a lot of those. But it does not seem like they've been able to cut down from 4 to 3 yet. And I think all those guys are in the conversation. So we'll just have to wait and see how it ends up going. But pretty much, what's fascinating is it's like you were mentioning, even a guy like Devin Tompkins, it could be more in game as far as different usage, but it could also be opponent based, where there might be a week where he's playing just a ton of bandit, and then you might the very next week be playing a different style of offense, and you're playing him a ton as a 3-tech, and he's not seeing many snaps out there at bandit. And that's kind of whether it be this first level, second level, not the third level probably as much, but I'm excited to see what that ends up looking like, because you do have some flexibility with some of these guys.
Absolutely, and I think that's probably what ends up happening, at least earlier on in the year, and kind of seeing how guys start performing, because there's so many new faces that it might take a little minute, right? I mean, you might think you have something even through fall camp, but then the season comes and there might be some things that shift and change a little bit, but that's what's exciting for us to kind of keep up with and seeing how everything progresses. We're joined by Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson, at Clint R. Lamb on X, of course, at Cover Crimson on all platforms, X on their YouTube channel as well. I think Clint mentioned they're doing daily shows and posting content all the time, so check that out. And of course, on all podcast platforms, you can find them at Cover Crimson as well. Clint, I got to ask you about the quarterback battle, man. You know, a lot of people definitely wanted to hear about that. You mentioned Ryan Williams. He kind of stole the show. Somebody got a little eager and was recording like the whole scrimmage, because I mean it was a highlight tape, Clint. It's not like it was like two snaps or two clips. I mean, this was a highlight tape. I'm like, this dude just had his phone the whole time, man. And he even just went as far as posting it. He probably was a little eager. I don't know what happened, but it's no longer there. Still on some other pages that reposted it. But long story short, somebody had to be throwing Ryan Williams the ball. And, it's, knowing that he had like 3 touchdowns or something. What have you been hearing about the quarterbacks? From what I've kind of gathered, it seems like both guys are doing a lot of things well. Keelan Russell continues to, have that wow presence to him. Sounds like Austin Mack is a little bit more of that veteran guy that you just kind of expect to kind of have a little bit more control of the reins, not make as many mistakes. But so far it seems like it's a very close battle right now. Is that kind of what you've gathered, or what did you pick up from scrimmage number 1?
Yeah, it's definitely close. They're both making plays. I think Austin Mack is managing the offense just a little bit better, which is to be expected. We got to remember, Keelan Russell is still a true freshman. He has not even entered his redshirt freshman season because he's still in year 1. So he's still a young player. He's still learning and growing. Obviously didn't get a ton of opportunities in year 1. And so he'll have to continue to kind of put his head down and go to work. But this is a different quarterback battle for Austin Mack than anything he's faced up to this point. It's like I was saying on my show. What did you see? You saw a quarterback battle between Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson. The more veteran guy, the more experienced guy won out. The next year, you end up seeing it Jalen Milroe, Ty Simpson versus Austin Mack versus Keelan Russell, technically, who ended up winning out, the more veteran guy. Now Austin Mack is that player. And so, with him having those opportunities, I think some of the turnover issues that you might have heard about Keelan Russell, I wouldn't say turnover issues. He's had turnovers. I haven't heard about any sort of significant or even multiple turnovers for Austin Mack so far. Doesn't mean that it's not happening. That's not something that has come up. I think Keelan Russell had a pick 6 in this scrimmage. But I think it's a combination of youth and from the position that he's in. He's in that kind of, yes, he's technically battling for the starting job, but the guy who's going out there for the first snaps every single day pretty much is Austin Mack. And so Keelan understands he's got to kind of overthrow or overtake Austin Mack. And so there could be some pressing happening. I think Mack dealt with that last year, trying to overtake Ty Simpson. Anytime you're in that, non-pole position, you're going to be trying to press a little bit. And so, I think overall, Russell has more playmaking ability at the position. He provides more of that. And, the further you get into this, I would say Austin Mack is a lot closer to his ceiling. Now, he's still got plenty of room for growth because he doesn't have playing experience. And so as he gets more comfortable, dealing with some high-pressure situations, seeing some things go wrong, sometimes you just got to experience it and say, well, it can't get much worse than that, right? But through those experiences, it can make you a better player. He's still got room to grow. Don't get me wrong. But I think Keelan Russell has a lot more room to grow. He's got a little bit higher of an overall ceiling. And so the fact that it is being talked about as being so close, you just have to wonder, is Keelan Russell eventually going to position himself to be the starter? I think it's still completely up in the air, but it's been a fascinating battle for sure.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I've kind of always felt about those two guys. And you made a great point. If you look at history, the more experienced guy, or in this case, I know experience is relatively the same, but the age difference there could be a determining factor. And I was even thinking about this. It wouldn't shock me if, like you mentioned, I fully believe that just seeing these guys last year, I went to a lot of practices and all the scrimmages pretty much, and just seeing the two of them, I mean, it's kind of like you explained. I mean, Keelan Russell just has a little bit higher of a ceiling, man. He's going to be able to make some plays that not many other guys can make. But it's starting to feel like history's repeating itself, where you might have a situation where a guy might just be a little bit more of a safer option, at least early on, and that could end up playing a factor in that quarterback battle. Clint, sticking with the offense, I do want to ask you about the running backs and the offensive line. Those are, I guess pairing those together. I heard the O-line, in pass pro actually performed pretty well. Running game, a little inconsistent, still need to kind of clean some things up there. Any notes or nuggets that you want to hit on from both of those groups? Also the running back spot. I know EJ Crowell, banged up, but sounds like A.K. Deere has been doing some good stuff, along with Daniel Hill, who one person had told me that, hey, man, this guy's he's really kind of running behind his pads a lot more right now, whether that's because he feels a lot healthier, shed some pounds, or understands he got some young players nipping at his heels for more playing time. It sounds like he's responding the right way and stepping up. What did you hear about those two groups?
Yeah, a lot of the same things, man. And I'll say this, understand that it's a very, very new group. And Daniel Hill pretty much said this, when he was asked about, the offensive line and everything else, you could tell he was going about it the most respectful way because he respects his offensive line. He didn't want to, but I mean, it probably doesn't look how it needs to look. And so for fans, a lot of panic is going to be set in, as a result of hearing that. But you got to understand it is very early in these stages. If Caden Proctor and Jaden Roberts and Wilkin Formby and all these guys were back and it was not performing well, that would be reason or cause for concern. But you're breaking in a ton of new starters. Michael Carroll, he has experience on the high school level at guard. Yes, he practiced some at the beginning of last season at guard, but all of his playing experience, on-field playing experience this past season came at right tackle. Now he's playing guard. So that's going to be new. It's going to be a transition somewhat for him. They're breaking in a new transfer right tackle in Javen James. They're breaking in a transfer at center. We don't know who the left guard is going to be. It's been a transfer up to this point, but it could be Will Sanders. He hadn't even been available. Young player like Mal Waldrop, redshirt freshman, and Jackson Lloyd. It's not expected to look like a completed product right now. So there's no reason to panic, but that is what I have heard as far as, this unit working in unison and kind of doing what they need to do. I think this is a reason why they would really like to commit to certain guys and try to start building some continuity. But, the running backs, from what I've heard, have looked good. Daniel Hill is one that I was really excited about him last spring. I mean, everything I was hearing about how he was performing, I even thought at the time when Jam Miller was completely healthy, I thought I wouldn't be shocked if Daniel Hill ended up being RB1 or at least being the guy who ended up with the largest workload. And then he gets into the summer and we come to find out he had surgery, which is what really slowed him down. It caused him to gain a little bit of weight. His conditioning wasn't where it needed to be. And so he entered fall camp. And I remember Ryan Grubb talking about him, and they're saying something along the lines of, we would like to see that player, that we saw back in the spring. We're still waiting for that to come back. Well, apparently we now all understand why, but he's lost weight. He's in much better condition. And I think he's more explosive after losing the weight. And he has the ability to kind of take the fight to defenders a little bit more. And you even saw it in those scrimmage clips that were posted on Friday. He gave Jaira Edwards the business. And Jaira's not a small guy, and he's not a soft guy. He'll hit you. And that was one of the biggest. I mean, he was very, very physical on the high school level. I'm sure there's been some sort of adjustment going to the SEC and going to college, but he's a physical guy that doesn't mind hitting you. And so Daniel Hill in those clips kind of, introducing him to major college football, I thought that was pretty big for Daniel Hill. EJ Crowell is a guy that I know the coaching staff loves. I really think they want to see him healthy right now because they would like to see how much he can handle. Because if he ends up being this special prospect who is ready and he's everything that we thought he was going to be and what the coaching staff expects him to be, then I think that's where your run game really starts because he's that kind of talent. And then you can kind of build around that based off of how much he can handle. If he's not available and you really don't know what to expect from him, then, you don't know exactly where he fits in whenever he does become healthy. And then you got to start figuring other things out. Okay, who's going to be our main workhorse? How are we going to operate? I think you operate a little bit differently. Kevin Riley, you're not going to use him the same way as Daniel Hill. I think as far as A.K. Deere, what he does is not exactly, what the others do as far as the strengths versus weaknesses. So, Crowell is like the most complete, in my opinion. He's the one that you could build an entire run game and really offense around, in unison with your passing game because of what he can do as a receiver out of the backfield. But him not being available, I think that might be why Kalen DeBoer, made the comment. It's really unfortunate that he's not available right now, but all 4 of those top guys have done well from what I've heard. Even a guy like Kevin Riley, who I've kind of viewed as that RB4, and if I had to pick a rotation of 3, he would probably be that guy on the outside looking in. I can't ignore that in a lot of these clips and stuff, he's been running with the ones. He's been getting opportunities. And what he needed to work on was getting bigger and stronger, which he has done. And if he still brings that level of explosiveness, he tries to run physical. He does not shy away from contact. He's not afraid of contact. He just didn't have the body where he could hold up, whether it be, over the course of an entire season or even in game being a workhorse type of player. Hopefully him being a little bit bigger, he can handle more of a workload if he's asked to do that in 2026.
Yeah, and I've always been big on him, man. Like you mentioned, he's probably the smallest guy in that room, but he doesn't run like it, and he's explosive. Right. They definitely, I think sometimes the vision and things, I think that more reps would help him out. I think he could be a little bit better, but in terms of just him giving you something, I mean, he shocked a lot of people, including myself, last season, especially early on when his number was called with some of the injuries that they were dealing with in that room. So, I think you mentioned, 4 guys right now at least that are making some noise. I think that's going to be great for the competition, raise everybody's performance, and hopefully we see that come to fruition this upcoming season because we know how important that is. We're joined by Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson, again, at Cover Crimson, all platforms, podcasts and platforms at Cover Crimson on YouTube. They post daily content there. And then Clint R. Lamb at X, you can follow him for all the latest that he tweets from his account. Clint, real quick before we let you run, man, I appreciate you joining us on the stream, man. This is awesome, man.
Yeah,
looks
good. Fantastic.
Yeah, man, looks official, man. We're definitely going to do it more often. I have to start doing some more collabs, man. But I got to ask you about my list here from the I posted on X. Projected starters on defense for 2026. I know you have it on your end. I'm going to throw it up on our screen for our viewers real quick. Anything that you would change, alter, or add, and how confident are you in this group right here? I'll let you kind of run through it real quick, but I think we hit it earlier where people have an idea what we're talking about via radio. So anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you did a fantastic job. I think across the board, based off of what you're going to see on the most often, it's going to be this group. You're going to see a ton of rotation. We've seen it in each of the first 2 years under Payne, but I think you hit the nail on the head. And guys, I'm really excited about Devin Tompkins. I've heard Red Morgan is doing some really, really good things at Husky. I heard he's really kind of taking the next step. And when you combine that with what we already expect from 2 dominant corners, 2 veteran safeties who have some playmaking ability, especially Bray Hubbard, I mean, if they can get the stuff right in this front 4, this could be a really, really special defense.
Yeah, I think it's kind of riding on that, man. Front 7, front 4, especially up front, man. Depending on how well they play, I think it can kind of dictate really the success of this defense. Because you look at the back end, we know what that's pretty much all your production returning. You know what you're getting out of that group, but they need help. And me and my dad say all the time, man, pass rush and pass coverage, man, it all works hand in hand. So you got to help each other out, and hopefully we can see that type of togetherness this upcoming season. Clint, man, we appreciate you joining us. I know I've said it a couple of times, but before we let you run, man, just a quick reminder on where everybody can keep up with the latest work that you guys are doing.
Yeah, you can find us daily on the Cover Crimson YouTube channel if that's how you like to consume. If you're more of a podcast, you can go to anywhere you listen, Apple, Spotify, search the Cover Crimson Podcast Network. And then if you want to follow me personally, I post, mostly relevant, useful information on Twitter. Sometimes I stray, but you can find me at Clint R. Lamb over there. So once again, Christian, always appreciate you having me on. Always enjoy joining you, and we will definitely have to do this face-to-face more often, man.
Hey, man, you got the link, man. You know how it works. Just hit the link, man. Just, hey, every Tuesday, you got it, man. We'll see.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, it sounds good, man. Hey, have a great rest of your day. I know you got some good content coming. We'll definitely be looking out for it, man.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, bud.
Always, man. Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson, who joins us every Tuesday, man. Really good stuff, man. I know you guys always enjoy Clint joining us, so we appreciate him taking a few minutes out of his day to hang out with us. We got to hit this timeout when we come back. We'll keep discussing some Alabama football, and we'll do that on the other side with a guy by the name of the pastor of Payne right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
Catch hourly local Ram. Lisa new 2020.
All right, good deal. We got the pastor of Payne up here. Big shout out to our guy Clint. Good stuff, man. It sounds like we'll get him on the stream now, which is fun, man. I've been trying to keep working the stream, man. I know you guys really enjoy watching, so I always love when our guests are able to do that, and we appreciate them doing that. Try to catch up on some of the chat. Where are you at?
My office. No.
Where?
Right across the street from my house at my new VIP spot.
I mean, you're like you legit are Drewski, man. You just never home, right? Like you always
Yeah,
are
you
doing
know,
something. You
I
just
like to be on
always
the move,
somewhere.
man. I can't. I'm not a homebot.
That must be something. Your brother's like that. Steve's like that. I mean, he always wants to be somewhere doing something.
God is on the move.
Why don't you get in like yard work or like gardening or something, man? Like getting outside. You know what I mean? Fresh air.
I'll be outside. It's called golf.
Well, I mean, occasionally I
And
feel.
it's just
I
getting
feel like
ready to
you haven't
get.
been
That's
golfing as
getting
much.
ready to. Nah, we getting ready to get things going. It's getting ready to happen. Today's the last day of March, and it's on and popping, buddy.
Fair enough. Well, good to hear you back on the course, man. You
Hey,
put
can I
that
get a
golf
cigar?
cart to use. What? I'm confused. I'm confused.
Why somebody just text me and said they got 3 new toilets? Hey, can you give me a cigar out my lockbox?
What is it? What is happening here? Where are you at?
At the cigar shop, bro. One new.
You didn't say it's a cigar shop. You said a new spot. I mean, how many cigar shops are around you?
Hey, there's tons of them. Well, see, this is
Why don't you open your own? Why don't you open?
nah.
Why don't you
It's
open
too,
one
I can't,
and
bro.
name it like
I got so much stuff.
brother? It's
two
passionate. You're passionate
ministers.
about cigars, bro. I mean, as passionate as you are about cigars, I don't know why you wouldn't consider that. I mean, think about how much time and effort you could put into that. You could have your sports memorabilia. You could preach
It's
out of
not
it.
locked.
Okay, I'm over here trying to give this guy a great idea, man. He don't want to listen.
I don't need no more. But we're gonna do Bible study here on Monday night. It's gonna be Bible study, chicken wings, and a cigar.
So you're
Monday
just going to
nights.
use other people's venue, but theoretically you're doing the same thing I'm talking about. You're just not selling cigars.
Monday night here. Then I do Bible study, another one on Wednesday. And I got my church stuff. So yeah, it's really good ministry, man. And it's, I like cigars, and a lot of Christian people and non-Christians that come to these places, we tell them about the Lord while smoking, pulling on a cigar.
Fair enough.
It's good stuff. You got to get outside the church, the 4 walls, man, and take the ministry outside the people.
Yeah, I just was recommending taking it like literally outside in the fresh air, right? So you get some nice clean air, not the smoke all.
Now my guy Ken is right here. He does all the filtration in the cigars where it's breathable and nice. It's even better than being outside. All the smog and pollen and all the crap that you breathe in outside.
True. Yeah.
Number 11. It's on the pastor of Payne.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know about this whole filtration stuff you're speaking of, but sounds cool. Sounds cool. All right, let's bring us back. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Big thanks to Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson, who just joined us via the stream. First time Clint jumping on the stream. Now, he does join us every Tuesday. But it sounds like now we got him as a guest officially on the stream, which is cool, man. I always enjoy when our guests can join me via the stream. That way we can chop it up. I know you guys love watching stuff nowadays. Of course, radio is still very big. A lot of people on the move and listening to radio. But for those that have the ability to watch, I know you guys enjoy that. So we are continuing to push more of that on our platforms at the Miller's Edge, and we appreciate all you guys tuning in and rocking with us. That said, we got another guest now, one that's pretty familiar with you guys, one that you guys enjoy hearing say some of the most outlandish things. The pastor of Payne officially is now on the stream, and he's been pretty active on the stream, man. I was telling him, I don't know what's going on, man. You've been actively on the show, which is great. We definitely enjoy it, man. So,
well, I saw how much the people love me, and how much they miss me from being on the stream, and so every chance I get, I try to get on here. Now things are slowing down, church things are smoothing out. So, spring and summer, my time opens up. Football season, I'll be on here several times a week, full shows. So I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to go. Good hearing Clint break down that knowledge and wisdom about the football team and Always good to hear, guys that cover it all the time. So that was good. And yeah, it's all good, man.
Good deal, man. Yeah, no, I appreciate Clint jumping on there. Man, you talk about being dedicated to really diving in the weeds of things, man. I got nothing but respect for him. That man will grind tape. I mean, go through all the research, going back years to finding. I mean, I definitely I respect his effort and his work without a doubt. Hey, let me ask you this, man. I put together this projected starters list, and that's what we've been talking about today. And this is for the defense. I made a nice, pretty graphic that I'm proud of, but I didn't have time to do offense. Now, you laugh, but listen, you laugh, but I think that at least the people appreciate it. I mean, the feedback we've
Yeah.
been getting, people enjoy it, so I appreciate that because I know most people normally have like a team of graphic experts and all these things. Well, guess what, man? It's me doing all this work. I guess the Lord blessed me with a couple of different talents. Not only do I speak, but I also do graphic design.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
listen,
Okay. Let's
look, no,
get to the
I'm
start.
saying, look, listen. So just appreciate, hey, look, you can
I
laugh,
mean, hey,
appreciate,
let me
appreciate
light up so I can blow some more smoke up for you. Let
it's
me.
no. Listen, I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just hoping that you appreciate the work that I
Nah, I
put
do,
into
man.
this nice graphic
Okay.
for the show. You know
We,
what I'm saying?
we all appreciate you, bro. We got you,
No,
dog.
I'm just being funny, but no, all seriousness though. I want you to look at this graphic, and I want you to tell me. Now, it might be a little small for you. I know you're kind of
It
looking
is.
from afar. I'll read it out for you because I know our radio listeners can't just magically see this either. Uh, Devin Tompkins, I threw him in our bandit, right? I know that the terms are different from other places. So that's what LT Overton played last season, right? That
Right.
strong side end, sometimes kicking into a 4-eye, a lot of time playing on the edge. He's 6'5", 298. That's a transfer from Southern Cal. I put him there. Terrence Green, transfer from Oregon. 6'5", 319. London Simmons, who I think you like a lot. That was a freshman, number 90 from last season. 6'3", 302. Then you got Yanze Pierre, who joined us on the show. Damn good football player. We know what he can do, rushing the passer, and he's definitely a much better edge rusher than I think people give him credit for. But he's also up at 253 now, right? And you look at a front four like that, Alabama has gotten bigger. Does that make you feel?
Well,
Listen, I know it's early, and I know you haven't seen him, so I already know the answer you're going to give because you're a realist, and I respect it. But just kind of hearing and kind of seeing the statures and the body types that Alabama's kind of working toward, and they're talking about playing more base. And I broke that down yesterday. Maybe not, slanting as much, doing all these games and twists up front, and maybe trying to just let big bodies play basic fundamentals and strike guys, right? Do you think that could serve Alabama well this upcoming season?
no, because when you start throwing out this, when you start throwing out these weights of these guys, I mean, like, wow, those are some big dudes. But I know one thing: they're not gonna be able to move. And in this league today, you need speed. Speed kills. You got to find athletic, long guys, especially on the edges, that can create problems for offensive tackles. And so, if this was a true 4-3 defense and you're in the National Football League and you experience a lot of run game and counters all day long and traps and all that, yeah, you want big dudes like that because that big body can eat that up. But in college football, man, there's basketball on grass, so to speak, right? Or field grass. And you better be able to have some dudes that can run. When you start playing teams, hurry up offenses, they're going to keep them big dudes on the field. They're going to be tired. Their hands are on their hips. They're breathing hard, and you're going to get ate up, right? So I don't like the sizes. I mean, I wish Pierre was stay around 238, 240. I want to see somebody that's fluid, somebody that got great hips, somebody that can get upfield, man, and turn speed into power. Someone that got counter moves that can slap bang inside and then drop those hips, spin, hook them with that outside and spin. Like you need dudes that's athletic, that's agile, flexible, fluid, right? That can create fast pressure on quarterbacks. And when that pocket collapses, when that pocket breaks down, you got closing speed that guys can chase and get done. I don't like the big size. You don't need big guys anymore. You need fast guys. You need safety types at linebackers that can run and stop draw plays and that can cover, screens and that can go out into space. I don't know, man. We've been talking about the offensive line too big, can't move. Now we moving on up like the Jeffersons and wait on defense. Come on, man. I don't like that.
Well, and I hear what you're saying, right? Because we talked about the different packages that you would expect to see depending on the personnel that you're facing. And it's clear that you're only thinking about, certain personnel, right? And on the other side, I'm going to respond to you and kind of give you an idea on why I came up with that graphic, maybe what they're thinking in terms of the direction they're moving and how it could all come together. We'll do that on the other side, right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
Hi, this is Gene Poole.
And I'm John Poole of Hudson Poole Fine Jewelers.
Life's biggest milestone.
Way too big. Way too big.
Well, and I'll talk about this on the other side, but so I should have
short yardage goal line. That's gonna be called regular defense.
Okay, so I was going to say, yeah. I mean, I was about to say, you know this, and let me explain a little bit clearer. So when I came up with that, to me, that's your base package. You're talking about P and 10 early down situation, specifically if you're playing, I'm trying to think of like maybe like a Georgia, right? They're going to get in some of those jumbo looks. They're going to work with
12 personnel, 13, 21.
Like, that's what. And I should have been a little bit more specific when I asked you, but that's the personnel grouping that, in my opinion, you're going to see for a number of situations like that when you're playing against teams where you want to be more physical. That's kind of what I think they're aiming for. And I know you think the opposite, but in my opinion, I think that's going to bode well, given the fact that watching some of our tape from last year, I didn't see a whole bunch of just basing things up. I didn't see a whole bunch of just, hey man, letting our tackles work inside, lock, peek, shed drill. Make a play, there's a lot of twists and stunts, especially as the season went on. And I think when you have bigger body guys like that, and hopefully they have the strength to go with it, right? Like Devin Tompkins, I'm not seeing him play a 3 technique. It concerns me a little bit at times, but on the edge, a guy that's 6'5", 298, I'll show you a picture of him real quick. He's not quick twitch like you're describing, but he's not some big, slow 6'5", 298. He's a really good athlete. As a matter of fact, speaking of basketball, I think he was a basketball player, if I'm not mistaken. But in terms of what you're describing, I think the part 2 of that base would be you kick that guy, Devin Tompkins, down to the 3 technique, and you bring in Zulu, your guy from South Carolina. He's more of that quick twitch. And then you got Yonde Pierre on the other side. I think you're going to see a lot of that group too. I think you see Zulu, Tompkins, London Simmons.
Well, but the bottom line is what's happening. If you go, okay.
I still agree that we could use more quick twitch players.
Right. You're now starters regular base defense, right? Like that will be me and Sam, LT, Pepper Johnson and Steve Diassi, whatever. But then you got your nickel and your dime groups. It's all based on grouping. And so if that's just calling that your base defense, but the reality is nobody in college, I can't think of one college that their base offense is regular personnel. Their base offense is nickel, 3 wides. And you're going to see more 3, 4, 5 wides even. I mean, so, regular defense is really out of the door, maybe except for short yardage and goal line.
But remember, this is nickel. The only thing that's really changing really is the guys up front, right? They don't have like a 3-4 base or even a 4-3 base. Right. They have some packages of a 4-3. That's what I'm saying. You have to think of it from that lens. They still are.
Okay.
Like this defense lines up.
So what is that? A 4-2-5. So you're going to play a 4-2-5 basically, right?
Well, yeah. They base out of a. Hold on. I'm bringing us back. We can talk about it. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We got the Pastor Payne on here, and we're talking about this pretty old graphic that I made since you had jokes about that. Let me just say this. You mentioned, maybe the lack of quick twitch guys, which I understand your point. You want quick twitch players. And when we talk about quick twitch, what that means is I was a quick twitch guy, or guys like, Rashawn Evans, Will Anderson, Dallas Turner, those types of edge players that can really, work speed off the edges, right? Have great change of direction, really good athletes. And what he's basically just saying is he feels that, you probably are lacking some of that with the lineup that I just mentioned, which he's not wrong. However, what I'm trying to explain is this is more so when you're playing the Georgias, right? And they're lining up in 12, sometimes 13 personnel, right? They're running downhill. They're trying to out-physical you on the line of scrimmage. I just think this is an ideal package that you'll probably see. I think the other side, if you want to say, hey, let's split the two base packages up, I talked about this with Clint. Bump Devin Tompkins down to the 3 technique, and then you throw in your guy Zulu from South Carolina, and you have Zulu and Yonze Pierre on the edges. It's a little bit more quick twitch in that grouping. Everything else behind them pretty much is the same, because at the end of the day, you still are playing nickel. You mentioned, well, what happens when you play 11 personnel? What happens when you play these offenses that are lining up in blue and red sets, right? And sometimes 10. I totally get that. And that's when you have the luxury of, adjusting who you have, on the field up front, right? You still are going to play with 5 DBs. You know what I mean? You're still going to have the guys to match it on the back end. It's more so a matter of who you want up front to be able to handle what you're seeing, right? If a team is, run first, well, most teams are, but you get what I'm saying? Team is a run-heavy team. They're trying to out-physical you. You probably look at this type of front in there. If you're playing Texas A&M with Marcel Reed, I don't want Devin Tompkins on the edge. Could he do it? Sure, but that's not his strong suit there. Put Zulu in the game. Maybe even
but the key is in any 4-2-5, right? If in today's game, when you're running a 4-2-5 defense, okay, basically you take my old position in base, right, which would be a Sam, strong outside linebacker, and you take him out of the game and you replace him with a hybrid safety type. And if you got a guy like Emin Ward that played at South Carolina, like a Caleb Downs even at Ohio State, guys that can come up in the box, guys that can also play in coverage, you really don't lose too much because you got that player. And I noticed for a fact that a lot of coaches are looking for Emin Warriors, and they're looking for the Caleb Down, that hybrid, that 205, 215-pound safety, right, that doesn't be stuck back in cover 2 and playing quarter and all that stuff. You got a guy that can come up and be a Sam. He can still be up in over fronts. He can play the run. He can be a filler. He can be a chase guy, right? And even if he has to face contact by tight ends, he's good enough to do that because tight ends are not really that big anymore. So you can get away with playing a 4-2-5, but the key, you have to circle that position right there. Who's the safety, right? You can't bring in when we went nickel, we brought in a true cover guy. But what offenses started doing is when you brought in a smaller safety type, they check the run. So what quarterbacks have, what we call a check with me package, right? When they come up there and they survey the land on defense and they see, they in nickel and they got so-and-so number 21 in the game for 57. Okay, I know we're gonna check the run game. And because this guy cannot play the run, and we run counters, we run traps, we run things that make him come up and have to attack that play. And so that's what they're doing. And so now when they see this on the field, it don't really matter really up front. If your front guy's not able to stop that run game, then you're in trouble. You're not going to be a very good run defense. But if you can find Caleb Downs, if you can find Nick Emenwari, that type of player, then it makes your defense so much flexible, and you can still be physical, and then you can still have those fast twitchy guys on the outside that can, do some things. But you got to stunt, you got to move, you got to run some run stunts, zone dogs, things like that. You got to be able to be flexible in your defense and have a coordinator that has that kind of sharp pencil defensively that he can get guys moving. Because you're athletic, you want the offensive lineman to move, come and get you, not to be. Alabama plays too much head up, right? And almost like a 2-gap scheme where guys got
We used to.
But you got to slant, you got to bring pressure, you got to run dogs, you got to do different things to create penetration by the defensive line in order to stop running it.
Yeah, well, and the other part of it is that when you're in a 4-2-5, that's why bigger bodies help, right? Because you are lighter on the second level. And then that's, you know what I mean? Typically you are. That's why I was saying I think having bigger guys up front is going to help this team out better, to be better equipped in some of those situations. But you mentioned that big nickel, and I've been talking about that. That's like the new premium right now. You see it in the NFL, you see it in college. And Missouri had that guy who's like 6'2", 225, 230. Right, he's a big nickel. Why? Because he can cover tight ends. Right, he's kind of built like a safety / linebacker hybrid. You can bring him off the edge and pressure, but he's athletic enough to cover, guys in the slot. He can pretty much do everything you need. And you're saying we need to get guys like that. Well, I think they have a perfect candidate, and his name is Jaire Edwards. The problem is he's a true freshman right now, so I don't know how much of a role he'll carve out this season. But he's he fits the mold of exactly what you're describing. And I've talked about this before, and it is why I feel like he's one of the guys that is probably going to end up being a very, key piece and key player here on this defense at some point. I'll throw his little high school highlights on the screen just so you can kind of see what type of player he is. But that's him working up there in the boundary, and you'll see him just kind of the physicality, watch him driving on the football, right, making a tackle. I mean, this guy is not only does he have the prototypical size of what you're describing, but he plays like it too. He's very instinctive, right? You'll see him. He's physical. He plays in the box. He's putting a hat on a hat. I mean, if they can get him, I don't know about this season, but at some point, I think he fits the mold for that. I think they're working him a little bit at safety right now, but I think he kind of fits that player. But we got to hit a timeout. We come back. We'll keep talking about a really good conversation. We're diving into the weeds on some defensive talk right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230. WTBC, quick timeout. We'll be right back.
Up on the
all right, he just got off. Reed, I'm gonna ask him that question that you asked when we come back too. Jackson, what's up? Real, what's up? Yeah, that's the thing, Carson. I think he fits the mold perfectly. Nah, I think I know. I mean, he's perfect for that. But I'll say this, man. There's different ways and philosophies to defenses, whether it's about run defense, the personnel that you're aiming for, and I just think the way they like to play defense and they want guys to be athletic and fly around and make plays. I think it benefits you from having bigger bodies up front, right? That can help kind of set the tone and play on the other side of the line of scrimmage. And then it will hopefully allow your players behind them to really be those athletes, fly around and make plays. That's kind of the vision that I think that they're going for with some of the changes that we've seen to their personnel. They keep talking about, I think just if you listen to like the messages that they're saying, I mean, it kind of tells you everything. They talk about getting bigger up front, right? Being able to play more base. I mean, it's evident. I think that they're almost looking to maybe simplify a little bit. And I'm not saying they get away from run stunts and working games. Everybody's going to do that. It's very beneficial to do stuff like that. It's just like I mentioned yesterday, you don't want to become over-reliant on that. Does that make sense? Like that should be something that you throw in there to throw some wrinkles on an offensive line. But you also want to be able to just align, just like I talked about with pass rush. In pass rush, you don't want to feel like you're over-reliant on running pressures, on running, simulated pressures, blitzes, whatever. You don't want to feel reliant on that. That should be something you have in your toolbox, something you have in your arsenal to go to throw some wrinkles at an offense. But ultimately, you want to try to get home with 4 guys. Why? That allows you to have more guys in coverage. You're not having to bring guys off the edge. You're not having to run and dial, pressures and blitzes up. Now you rush with 4 guys, you got 7 guys that can drop. Does that make sense? And you still are hopefully getting home. That was, I'm telling you, I mean, if you go back and watch any of the older defenses, like all the great defense that we had here, man, not only were you having guys that were dominant at the line of scrimmage, stopping the run. We did a lot more 2-gapping. I mean, that's why you had big guys, and in a base 3-4 defense, you need big physical guys up front. That's why you saw guys like Payne, Jaron Reed, Ashawn Robinson. Like those guys were built for that system, and they were highly effective. But you also saw a number of guys across the line of scrimmage that could get home. We didn't have to call pressures because you had Jonathan Allen that was pushing double-digit sacks, Isaiah Buggs in 2018 pushing double-digit sacks, Quinnen Williams pushing double-digit sacks. And, of course, all the guys on the outside, Ryan Anderson, Tim Williams, myself, all of us, 8, 9, 10-plus sack guys. You're literally getting rushed from all angles, and everything works together. The exterior guys are going to be forcing things inside for the quarterback to step up and vice versa. You need interior push. That way they're forcing guys forcing quarterback to the outside. And everything just works hand in hand. So I think that's what they're trying to build to. And I think that could be very beneficial. I mean, if you just look at the group, I mean, if you have Devin Tompkins and he's able to get good push up front, and London Simmons, you got Yanze and maybe Zulu stepping up on the outside. The goal is to let those 4 guys really get active and really just come in unison and really improve that pass rush this upcoming season. That's what they're looking to do, and that's what they're hoping to do at least.
Well, when you got the way he likes to.
Let me bring us back real quick.
All right.
in the App Store and Google Play. And take the Crimson Tide everywhere
Because
you
we're running low
go.
on time, I just want to make sure we got plenty of time. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Really good conversation going on with the pastor of Payne. But real quick, got to remind you about our friends over at Lamparello Law Education and Advocacy, founded by attorney and professor Adam Lamparello, who works with high school, college, and graduate students, whether that's on test-taking preparation, career success, academic planning, career planning, mentoring. You name it, they've got you. Personal statements, resumes, they'll take care of you. And of course, as a law firm, they're going to keep you covered, right? So if you're in any type of situation, whether it's a criminal defense matter, NIL situations, First Amendment cases, they've got you covered. And you've heard Adam, man. He's going to represent you. He's going to do it right. He's going to do it in a first-class manner. It's more affordable than any other representation, but I love the fact that they're passionate. They've got relentless advocacy, man, and he's going to do what's right. He's going to take good care of you. So if you guys need any of those services, any of that representation, make sure you guys check them out. 201-317-5115 is the number. You can always reach him at adam@lamparello-law.com. New website dropping very, very, very soon, lamparello-law.com. Again, that is Lamparello Law Education and Advocacy, the official representation of us here on the Miller's Edge. All right, you were about to respond real quick. We were talking about this defense, some of the changes, philosophies, stuff like that, personnel changes. Tell me what you wanted to throw in there. Then I got a question that Reed wanted to ask real quick.
Well, I just want to say that today's game, and I think Nick Saban has alluded to this. So defensive shutdown teams are not going to be very evident anymore in college football because the style of the game, how they play, what's allowed by the referees. You can't touch them, you can't reroute, hard to jam, put your hands on guys. Guys are afraid to come up now and make guys pay when they come into the briar patch. You can get stuck. You can't hit them now. You get kicked out if you got a targeting penalty, so you miss a half. So it has slowed and has taken some of the aggression down from defense. So that's number one. But you still have to find a way to be aggressive. You still have to find a way to change the line of scrimmage. You still have to find a way to get penetration into the backfield, make offenses, make changes. You want to dictate the offense. And defenses in college hasn't done a good job of that, and largely because of how they have to play the game. So, but I like what they're doing if they get them bigs out of there. Like you said, big regular or big nickel is fine in short yardage in goal line situations. But when you're talking about from 20 to 20, when you're not in the red zone, you got to have dudes out there that can run. You got to have guys out there that can play in space. You got to have guys out there that can get to the quarterback. Most quarterbacks are not statues anymore. You don't have the Dan Marinos. You don't have the Peyton Manning types, guys that can't run. You got guys that can move. You got zone reads. You got quarterback design runs. You got, they got all these different options in their offensive play call. So you got to have athletes on the field. If I'm recruiting, I'm finding long, rangy guys up front. They don't have to be crazy big. My tackles I want big, right? That can push the pocket inside and make them get outside. But everybody else, man, going to be true athletes. I want basketball-type players playing defense for me.
And I understand where you're going. I mean, ideally, if I'm a defensive coordinator in a perfect world, I would love my edge guys to be 6'5". You know what I mean? 6'3", 6'4" is just fine. But I'm saying in a perfect world, yeah, like you said, basketball frame, 6'5", long arms, right? 250, but can run. Great athletes. Yeah, I agree 100% with you. But I think when you're looking at the personnel that they have, and remember, you lost a number of guys to the transfer portal / the NFL draft. You were looking to replace players. They got a guy similar to what you're describing in Zulu, right? I mean, a long, lengthy guy to play on the edge. Now, granted, I feel more as kind of like a depth guy, and I think he can play a lot better football here than he has the past few years. But he got at least one of those. But I think when you look at what they have and the way they play, the way he plays his bandits is a little bit different than maybe what you're describing. A true 4-2-5 where you got two ends that typically both are kind of built in that same mold like you're describing, that's one thing. But in this system, their bandit is required to bump down and play a little bit of four-eye technique. That's why you saw the likes of LT Overton. That's why you saw guys Keon Keeley go from 250 to put on weight, getting up to 285, because it's not a traditional end role. And that's why when you look at the personnel that they're working with, it makes more sense to operate like that. when you're playing against dual threat quarterbacks, and yes, the game is working more towards that, I agree. You're kind of working backwards to an extent if you are operating with such bigger players. However, we're only talking about one position. It's really the bandit position. Everybody else, I think, is typical, prototypical size, right? That said, there's no issue with rotating. That's why we mentioned Zulu coming in and kicking Devin Tompkins down. That is a pretty athletic front because Tompkins is an athletic 3 technique, right? Zulu is what you're describing on the edge, and then Yonze Pierre, we know the athlete that he is. So they have that ability.
Well, right? South Carolina just signed a dude that played lacrosse here, 6'8", long, lengthy runs. And he wasn't even playing football; he's playing lacrosse, but a phenomenal athlete. So that's what I'm talking about. You got no, he's going to be a defensive guy on the edge, guy. Zulu.
I hope he's physical,
but bigger. Yeah, lacrosse guys are physical.
Well, I was about to say D-pole, which is like the defender in lacrosse. Like, they're in the back, they're hitting stuff. It's almost like hockey. So, I mean, he might have some physicality to him. Hey, real quick, I don't want to cut you off, but I do want to close this out on radio because I don't want to be late. But I'm going to sit on the stream for a few more minutes and hang out and answer some more questions that we might have missed. So, big shout out to everybody tuning in today. We appreciate Reed and Chase behind the glass. All of our guests, Clint Lamb from Cover.
I thought Reed had a question. You froze him out.
Oh, well, he got 30 seconds, man. Just you can answer real quick. It's basically, 2 options. Right now, pre-A Day, are you more confident in Alabama's defense this upcoming season or Alabama's offense this upcoming season? 30 seconds.
Offense.
Really?
Because we don't know who. Oh, we got an offensive line that's going to be, I think, patchwork, and then the quarterback situation, I think, is going to be very crucial. And so I'm going to say offense.
When you're more confident in offense or more concerned?
I'm more concerned. I'm not confident.
Yeah.
And you got no offense. And
I asked you which one were you more confident
Okay.
You're more confident.
Okay. I'm confident in what's that place that sells hamburgers across the street from the stadium? I'm confident in them because they make some good hamburgers. I'm not confident at all with it, offense and or defense.
Okay.
Period.
Right.
I'm not confident.
Okay. And then first it's Jack's.
But good hamburgers. Hey Todd, if you listen, go get you one of them hamburgers across the street from the stadium. They take care of you.
Okay, that'll go for us on this Talking Tuesday edition of the Millers Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We'll be back tomorrow right here at same time, same place. We'll see you guys then.
You've been listening to the Miller's Edge, tackling sports daily.
Appreciate it, Reed. And this dude here, man. And I think you're thinking of Jack's. Jack's is across from the practice facility, across from the stadium. You said a burger place.
No, that little place right there by the stadium that we try to go get some advertising from.
Yeah, and I'm not even giving them a free plug. But I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, Reed. Yeah.
I need to put my jerseys up here on my wall at Crown and Nash. I got to see if I can get some money from Miss T and Justin and put my numbers up like you got, so I can sit in here now. They open at 12 o'clock.
Brother, you have a whole house. Just, I mean, you literally.
Yeah, but I don't smoke cigars inside my house.
I mean, why you got it? I mean, can you not take an hour to not smoke a cigar and just listen? I can help you. I'll tell you the camera set up. I'll help you if you're not auctioning off all your helmets. I can get you a nice little tower like I got back there. Put the jerseys on the wall. We can have this thing looking like Uncle Ocho, man. But you just want to be Where's Waldo and on the move all the time. They just park it for an hour, man.
Girl, I have to work. I gotta work.
Bro, bro.
I gotta go pray for people. I gotta go.
Chat. People kill me when they say I don't have time. And literally, he's sitting at a cigar shop. He can spend.
That's because I came in here to finish up.
Every day you join you at a cigar shop. If you have time, if you wanted to, you could.
Well, maybe one of our main sponsors is R&R Cigars in Tuscaloosa. So don't be putting down cigars.
Who put down cigars? I said you're always in a cigar shop. I said you can spend that time doing the show. You just talking. Nobody said nothing about cigars. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you. I ain't doing cigars.
I got me a locker here. I could do it in the VIP room, but I don't like to be locked in. Like the door. Well, we got the VIP room. This is a private cigar shop. It's different than others. Like you got to pay membership to come over here, and then you got a VIP room that you can go back there and do your thing. Like if I wanted to go, if there's people in here, I would do the show back there.
Oh God. Let me see if we got some questions.
Did you do R&R today?
No, it's not an everyday thing. It's not an everyday thing. What does a pastor think of Grubb overriding DeBoer tackle? So basically, let me fill him in on this. So remember, Ryan Grubb came out and said Jackson Lloyd is the starter at left tackle. All that stuff. Well, they asked Kalen DeBoer about that, and he basically said the opposite. Man, not said the opposite, but he basically said, we're very impressed with Jackson Lloyd, and I'm paraphrasing. But basically saying, we're pleased with where Jackson Lloyd's at, but each and every day is a competition for our guys, and this basically kind of, righting the wrong of Grubb in that first interview. So they're asking your opinion on that, Coach DeBoer coming out and going against that.
He should have. I mean, because we said the whole time that Ryan Grubb was way out of place as a coach to make that type of announcement and say there's no competition, this is the starter. And, what is that telling the other guy? You haven't even had pads on. That should be the head coach's conversation, right? So, I don't know, man. I'm not a big fan of Ryan Grubb. I think he's on eggshells. I think if this offense struggles, he may not make it through the season. I mean, there's a reason Seattle moved. There's a reason Seattle did not keep him. He lasted 1 year, right? He left the board to go to the Seahawks to coordinate the offense 1 year, and he's back because he got fired. He ain't back because he was showing loyalty. He's back because he got fired. And now then you had the offense that was, sputtering all last season. Now you're talking about going to the meetings. Now some guy's a starter and you didn't have a scrimmage. That ain't been in full pads. So you get out of place there. And now you're going to have an offense that's a lot of uncertainty there. So I'm telling you, if that offense is not rolling, I can see Kalen DeBoer say, you know what, this ain't working. Let's move on. So I think he's on eggshells.
No, brother, you go above and beyond. Golly, man. Mid-season, no, man. No, absolutely not. No. You really think he would consider making a mid-season? Only way I can see that happen if they just came out and this offense was just god awful. I'm talking about now granted, the running game last year was like one of the worst that has been in like program history or something like that. Smitty said, didn't you want Sheridan fired in favor of Grubb? That's a fair point.
I did, Smitty. And I was wrong about Grubb. Well, I'm not wrong yet. I'm just saying that he has to prove himself. And I think last year was an epic failure. And, this is a big year for him. And now you're talking about a reworked offensive line. You're talking about a very inexperienced quarterback room. Like, there's going to be questions, period.
But yeah, I mean, he's a really good communicator.
How close is the battle? You mentioned Jackson. How close is the battle at left tackle behind him, or
it's not?
With him?
It's not. He's the left tackle. Yeah.
You saw EJ Crowell during the media period. Didn't look like.
I know some people were like, well, when he said it, he just was saying he's a left tackle, and they were saying like that's his position. And I was like, nah, man. When you listen to him, I mean, he was doubling down, and that was the second time he mentioned. I think
fully cautious, right? Probably being different. I mean, just last right now, honestly, play anywhere, and that has not been an issue. It's not.
So I think he said it before, and I think that was the follow up. Anyway, I have to pull up Coach DeBoer's next. Regardless, I think that's a little far. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, anybody can be on the chopping block. And we know, I mean, it's a performance-based business from the coaches to administration all the way down to the roster now, especially the way things are with NIL. Don't get me wrong.
Let me ask you this. If Nick Saban's coordinator would have said what he said, not just even this time, but the first time he blatantly said the guy was a starter. There wasn't no questions about that. He said that. Now, if Nick Saban guys would have said one of that, first of all, they wouldn't even talk. He wouldn't even allow them to talk, and that's why, because they were not going. They were not going to control the narrative. They weren't going to do that. Nick Saban controlled the narrative, and when you put guys like Grubb out there, and then he's got diarrhea of the mouth sometimes, you know, that's not good. That's not good. Coaches, the head coach, should always control that narrative. Not even the coordinator. That's the
I mean
head coach.
that's fair. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but I mean, but the reality is, I mean, that's what Coach DeBoer, chooses to do. He likes to let his guys speak. I mean, that's his right, his choice, and whatever comes from it comes from it. But I don't know. I mean, I could see maybe them reassessing things at the end of the season if they, for whatever reason, they had a year where things were bad, right? The running game doesn't improve. I really think if either one of these quarterbacks fail to succeed, because I think they're really high on both of these guys, and they have high expectations, and they like their receiver room. I mean, if you have an offense that fails to move the football effectively, fails to really improve, and then get this, the play calling, right? Just him as a coordinator, just his control and command of that unit. If it's not in a place that feels like it's trending in the right direction, I could see them evaluating for sure. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, one thing I've gathered from kind of how the staff works, man, they like familiarity. They don't typically just go and hire people they don't have much familiarity with. They lean towards people that there's some type of established connection in. To get rid of a guy that you spent a number of years of your career with, and who are you replacing with? If Nick Sheridan didn't get hired off by Michigan State, I would maybe say, you might have a point that there could be a little bit shorter of a leash, because then you could say, hey, we got Nick Sheridan who served as offensive coordinator, who you're laughing at, but they also, and I know Jalen Milroe was largely responsible, but they at least averaged, I think, almost 180 yards in the ground per game. Again,
They hired Nick Sheridan as their offensive coordinator.
Michigan State hired Nick Sheridan as offensive coordinator. Yes.
Well, that's a bad program. I mean, I can see, but
you're saying that, but to be fair, Nick Sheridan with Jalen Milroe, who we know is a phenomenal football player, but not necessarily the best fit for what this offense typically expects to do.
Okay, but what's the offense?
Statistically, I would say the offense will perform better in year one.
I was going to say the offense was better with Jalen Milroe, right?
With Jalen Milroe and Nick Sheridan. To be
but
fair,
but the only reason is because of Jalen Milroe. Because Jalen Milroe gave them that option with legs and to extend plays and to have those chunk plays. Jalen gave them that ability where Ty Simpson could not. And back when everybody was arguing for Ty Simpson, and we were saying he's a good player, but Jalen Milroe was that X factor. And I think that's what you keep saying about, Keelan Russell, although he's not Jalen Milroe as far as running football, but he is dynamic in certain areas as far as extending plays, making big throws. And I think, when you look at this quarterback group, though yet inexperienced, and I do think, was it Banks I'm talking about? But
Austin Mack. You love calling him Banks, man. Who is Banks?
But Austin Mack, probably because he's been in this program and in the system long, and he knows it very well. And you just said about the being comfortable as a coach with other coaches. Well, coaches are comfortable when you got a quarterback that understands what he wants and what they are doing, right? So I think Austin Mack is going to be the starter, but it's going to be hard to keep Keelan Russell on the sidelines just because of his ability to be dynamic and to create big plays. And so Russell hasn't played at all, really. So I think, at least Austin Mack has played some. He got in the playoffs, played, under duress. And I liked him. I think the dude got a lively arm. I think he can move around in the pocket, improvise some. I think he can do a lot of good things. And still Keelan Russell get some time. So I think that's got to be the point. I think you got some early games that they should win and win big enough to where you can play both quarterbacks. And I think that's what you might see. And I don't really like to say that. I don't like teams that use two quarterbacks. But in this particular situation, I can see why Kevin DeBoer might say, well, both these guys are deserving of playing time, and especially those early games where you can get leads in the second half, mid third, fourth quarter, and say, you know what, give the other guy the con, let him go, drive this ship, so to speak. And I think that's what you're going to see. And then I think they may have to separate, you know, based on who really is your starter. I think they're that close.
I agree with everything you just said, and I was just thinking that the other day that not more than likely, I think there is a chance or a good chance that Austin Mack, because we were talking about this with Clint, if you look at the history of it, and we know how important experience and command of the offense is, limiting the mistakes. We know how important that is at the quarterback position. And that's where Austin Mack, he's going to have that advantage. He's going to have the advantage over Keelan Russell in that aspect. And I think that's going to work in his favor, where there's a good chance you probably see him initially the starter. But like you just mentioned, depending on where Keelan Russell can get up to this upcoming season, because he's still young, with his command of the offense, limiting some of those mistakes. Because I said it last year when everybody was calling for him to be put in the game. I'm like, every time I've been at practice, man, he makes a lot of great plays, but you can tell he's still trying to limit the mistakes, right? Not forcing things. Sometimes missing some things, which is totally expected for a young quarterback. And I think that's going to end up being probably the biggest deciding factor on who it falls on. But even though I feel like Keelan Russell's that X factor, I kind of feel like it leans in Mac's favor, given that he is the older, quote unquote, more experienced guy, even though they have roughly about the same amount of playing time throughout their career. They just are separated by another year or two of Austin Mack being in the system, which definitely accounts for something. Real quick before we get out of here, man. Yesterday I spent a lot of time breaking some tape down. I know you guys enjoyed that. I posted a lot of those clips. I didn't really have anything in mind today, unless you guys wanted to see something specifically. We watched a lot of defense yesterday. Maybe speaking of the quarterbacks, we need to pull some tape up of those guys at some point. But I'd rather save it for when I'm a little bit more prepped to do it instead of doing it on the fly. You got anything real quick? Let me read some of these chat messages before we roll. Smitty says being a safe quarterback only gets you so far. Alex Smith won a ton of games for the Chiefs, but Mahomes put them over the top. That's a very interesting comparison there. And trust me, I'm with you. That's why I said initially I do think it can help him win the job. And then it's going to be a matter of, can he start elevating and take some of those steps to being a little bit more of that factor there? Not saying he can't do it, but just as of now, it seems more like he could be a little bit like the safer option. But once Keelan fully kind of grows into his potential, I think he's the better of the two and the best in that group. Just my opinion. I know everybody's different, but that's my opinion. That's the opinion of a number of people I've spoken to. And
well, that's gonna be the case. I mean, I think again, giving him some game time experience. I mean, being in practice, spring practice, scrimmages is good, okay, but it's never going to be live game stuff. And so the only way you get that experience is just by playing. And so that's what I'm saying. They got those early games. Hopefully they can build up some leads and let Keelan play, because I think he is the future of your program. There's no doubt about that. He is the guy. But I think Kevin DeBoer has to do a good job of explaining that. Ryan Grubb has to do a good job of explaining if they don't start him, because they do have to protect him from getting angry, upset, whatever promises they made to him in recruiting. Because the worst thing you can do is make that a bad relationship, and then that guy is looking to go elsewhere because he's probably can get paid. So that's the thing about college now with the system. You've got to always think about that before coaches make a decision and they felt good about it. Yeah, we're gonna sit guy down for a little bit till he's ready, and then bring him in. But now you have to always be thinking, if I do this, if I make said decision about said player, am I going to lose him? Right. And so that's why it's going to take coaches that can really be good at communicating and getting those points across. So, and I know that for a fact, even here, there's promises made. To get certain guys, you have to talk about playing time. And so we'll see. It's a very interesting situation. That's why when He asked me about confidence. I don't have a ton of confidence because of that situation with the quarterbacks and the offensive line makes me really, really concerned about how good can this offense be, and will they get back to being able to run the football? And we talk about the quarterback; they can't run the football. Has not really been Alabama's deal. They've been great at, been one of the best in the country at doing that, and the last 2 years has been putrid, to be honest with you. So we'll see.
Yeah, and mention the offensive line. That's the other thing I wanted to add, that when you take that into account, that you're dealing with an offensive line that you don't really know exactly what they're going to be, do you feel more comfortable rolling with a guy like Austin Mack that feels a little bit more like a safer option, knowing that there could be, a lack of protection at times, knowing that the lack of running game could still be persistent this upcoming season, or at least for the time being? Or do you feel better about Keelan Russell, who I would say is a better athlete than Austin Mack, but you can't sleep on his athleticism. We saw that in some of the limited action that he got last season. He can take off and run, right? I mean, for a 6'6", 235-pound quarterback, he's a solid athlete, but maybe that's, a factor in this equation. I mean, like,
Well, let me ask you
so many
this:
different ways to think about it.
Is there a guy on the roster, a veteran guy, that has experience? Do they sign somebody that has played in meaningful college football games that he could say, you know what, I trust this guy if those first two guys even don't get it done? Do they have a guy that say, I don't know, they got from
Are you talking about a
TCU
quarterback?
that started some games?
No. The most experienced player in that quarterback room is Austin Mack, unless you consider maybe he's a walk-on or something. I don't know, but Austin Mack, I think, is the most experienced player in that room going on year 4 of playing college football, which he was an early enrollee at Washington. And I think he is similar to Ryan Williams. I want to say he was like 17 for a portion of the early part of his college career. So, I mean, I think he's only like 19 going on 20 as a fourth year college football player. So he doesn't have the experience of playing in games, really, or at least not much of it outside of maybe action in 3 or 4 games last season.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a mature player. He's a guy that's been with this staff going on 4 years now, and that has to count for something. It is a lot different than what you're detailing in terms of being a starting quarterback, going on the road in SEC play, having experience taking snaps inside of that Tennessee stadium that feels like a coliseum where all the noise is literally, it's deafening at times. I understand what you're saying. He don't have that type of experience. But I think the experience in the system at least helps him slightly. Hey, real quick, guys, just want to remind you, if you haven't, man, hit that like button. That just helps us out. We appreciate it. I know it's probably annoying hearing it. I hardly even remind you guys, but it takes 2 seconds, and it just helps more people see our stuff. It helps more people come to our channel, which also helps you guys, more people in the chat, which makes it more fun, more interactions, and helps us grow. And everything's pretty much free for you guys. Shout out to all our amazing sponsors that help put this on. But only thing we ask from you guys to help keep things free and not worry about subscriptions is just hit that like button every single chance you get. Subscribe. I know we got a bunch of folks listening on X. If you guys have a YouTube channel, if you guys don't mind, whenever you get a chance, maybe after we wrap things up here, head on over to YouTube, subscribe there. I post a lot of shorts and reels there now. We're clipping some stuff up, posting on our YouTube channel, and we'll start doing some more stuff, hopefully even an extra little weekly podcast over on YouTube specifically. So to make sure you stay up to date with all that, go subscribe to the YouTube channel if you guys haven't already. We're on the road to 5K, guys, and we're really close. We just surpassed 4,200. We're flying up, man, and I appreciate you guys. Can't thank you guys enough. So the goal is to hit 5K by the end of May. 5K by the end of May. We got us about 2 months or so, and I think we can do it. So we appreciate all that support.
Now, can't you just do
like a giveaway?
No. Somebody was out when they were doing this voting Hall of Fame thing. They were like, you can use some system and then just vote for you or something. I was like, no, I'm not.
Oh, no. I don't know about all that, but no. Listen, we're doing it organically. We're doing it the right way. And I think it's just going great, man. Listen, you were laughing about my pretty little graphic, but we got 23,000 views on X just from this morning, man, and a lot of people checking out stuff. So I'll keep making some cool stuff like that for you guys. I know people enjoy little things like that, help get good conversations going, graphics and stuff. So I'll keep working on that too over on X.
Well, I'm gonna get up out of here. I got a 3:00 phone meeting with the church. But if anybody in Atlanta, South Carolina, you want to come play in this tournament, man, come check us out. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna do fish and grits, chicken and dumplings for the VIP.
Fish and grits. Who's making them?
Oh man, my sister.
Okay. All right. Okay. Then okay. Fair enough. I was about to say if you catering in some fish and grits, that ain't the same thing. Yeah. I just making sure, man. You know, a lot of people be catering and stuff with events and stuff. So I wasn't too confident.
No. This is country Pageland. I'm talking about thick, cheesy grits with some whiting, some flounder. I mean, you know, we may even might go into the back of the pond, you know, throw that thing in there, you know.
You don't even a fish, man. Get out of here. This dude don't even
get some big mouth bass with all them bones in it.
Large
you know
mouth
what I mean?
bass.
Same thing, large, big, whatever.
Not the same thing. Goodness gracious, man. Big mouth bass, it's a large mouth bass. You don't even fish, man. Stop the cap.
I fish for men.
Excuse me?
That's a saying, biblical reference. Read your Bible. Fishers of men. There it is, right yonder. Right yonder. Come check us out. Title sponsor already gone. We're still looking for a T-shirt sponsor. I ain't really trying to sell that yet, but you know you can get your name, your business on the T-shirt on the back, and hat sponsor the same type of thing. $1,000 you get a team pin flag. We get the free invitation to the VIP, but the team's only $650. Ain't that bad. Ain't that bad at all.
Team of what? Four
people on the team. So, you know, 650 divided by 4. You do the math. It's not that bad. But there's my phone. That's my personal digits right there. Now, don't be calling me with no drama about no Alabama.
Oh, my bad. Should I not have put that? I mean, no, you have
No, I don't care. Yeah. That's me, Richard. You call me directly. I will talk to you. You know, you can call me directly. But that's what we do.
Now.
No, I hit my phone and let me know. I just I listen to messages first before I answer. Yeah, send me a message or whatever you're interested. You just want to donate, you know, whatever. You can do what you want to do. I'll send you a T-shirt, a hat, autograph. I'll send that to you as well. So however you want to help us out there so we can keep, you know, I cut up a lot, but we do a lot of ministry, like in the cigar shops where I'm at. We're going to start a Bible study here with chicken wings, cigar, and Bible. That's what we're going to be doing on Mondays. And then Wednesdays, I'm at another spot. And, of course, I do a lot of mentoring with young athletes as well. And go to different spots and speak and preach. So you help me take the gospel. That's why we say fishers of men, meaning just not like men.
I know.
I saw your face when I said that.
Well, and I know Jeremy said, "Bib." I understand it's in the Bible. I'm just saying you can't just say that and not really kind of like, you know what I'm saying, like reference the verse or reference. I mean, that's kind of crazy just to just kind of just throw that out there. People clip stuff nowadays. I mean,
Well, people will know what that means. Fishers of men.
Well, they should, but there's going to be a lot of people that.
That's the problem.
All right. Well, I'll let you run because I'm about to get out of here as well. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us tomorrow. I got to reach out to Gray. Hopefully, we'll get Gray on here. I'm trying to think if we had anybody else lined up, man. Need to get another former player on here to jump on. I know Josh McMillan was texting me the other day. Maybe we'll see if he's freed up tomorrow.
I should get Dawn Staley on here. We can talk about the women's Final Four. South Carolina's 6 straight Final Fours. That's pretty awesome.
Man, I mean,
I'm a big fan
of Dawn.
Don't be hating on the Gamecocks.
I'm a big fan of her, but I'm like, I almost understand why people used to get mad at like us here at Alabama. We were winning every year. Like I'm like, man, I say Gamecocks every year, man. Women's basketball, man.
But it's gonna be good. They got UConn. UConn has won like 56 or 57 games in a row, and I think South Carolina might have been the last team to beat them. They've been that good, but that's going to be a very challenge for them. And I think the Final Four is in Phoenix, Arizona. And so we'll see. If they get through UConn, they probably can win the whole thing. Texas on the other side, 2 SEC teams in the Final Four with Texas and South Carolina. Then you got UCLA, Texas, South Carolina, UConn. So should be good. Should be good.
I'm going to talk about this tomorrow, man. Are people starting to kind of come back to reality a little bit with Ty Simpson in this draft? I mean, I know last 2 or 3 weeks, everybody was talking about him even potentially surpassing Fernando Mendoza. And now it seems like some people are kind of pushing back on that narrative. And
there's your boy Jeremy Bernard at number 40.
I told you that you were tripping on wherever you had him going, but
I said 3rd round.
No, you changed after you got pressed on that. That was crazy take, but
I said I would draft him for 5th round.
I think that's the team that the Jets and Cardinals are both in the same spot. And despite what Aaron Glenn says about Geno Smith taking them to the promised land this year, I do think this is a team that needs a quarterback, needs a young quarterback. Simpson only started 15 games in college. That's the hard conversation that you have to have with him is he's at a minimum 10 games below the threshold of where NFL teams want a quarterback to be. He's 6'1". He's got good mobility. He's got an okay arm, but he's inexperienced, and it showed down the stretch last year. I think the game against Indiana is a very good example of that. The game against Georgia, a good example of that. He has some growing up to do on the field in terms of processing speed, making better decisions, getting himself out of sacks by getting the ball out faster. But there's lots of talent here. The first 9 games last year for Alabama, you would have thought he was going to be a top 10 pick. And then the final 6 games happened. He got banged up a little bit. The Alabama offense, they couldn't run the ball. But some of that also goes to him. And when you talk about a guy who got banged up, you go back to the size. All right, 6'1", 210 pounds. He holds onto the ball too long. How's that going to play in the NFL where the game is even faster, the defenders are even stronger? So that's really the key for him. But I think the Jets could be in that market. But if not, I said this yesterday, you don't have to marry yourself to a quarterback this year through the Jets or the Cardinals. You can date one. You draft a guy in the 2nd round because those expectations aren't there. You can move on from a 2nd round pick if it doesn't work out. You draft a quarterback in the 1st, even if it's picked 32 instead of 33, the narrative's completely changed. And that player is not expected to be your future. Whereas 2nd round, 3rd round, cool, that's a developmental quarterback. We'll see what happens.
We'll save that clip for tomorrow. I know we just played it just now, but definitely.
I don't know why you play that. Listen to that clown. I mean, listen, if
Wait, why are you saying like that? I'm just saying I like this hearing different perspectives. I'm just saying we've been here for the past 3 weeks about Ty, really
but
racing on
how many
draft boards.
we still going
you know me, I like to listen to everybody's opinion.
I know, but we keep talking about the quarterback size, 6'1". I mean, he played in the SEC and he played at a high level at 6'1". So I get sick of them keep using that as like it's some type of deterrent when they've drafted shorter quarterbacks. Yeah, granted, they might have been more athletic, but it's enough of that. The guy can play at a high level. He played in the SEC with a 6'5" defensive end with the outstretched arm. So I'm not even worried about that.
But
I mean, it's just
6'1" that small. I'm saying in today's standards, I don't understand.
No, it's not even that small. I mean,
it's that small.
I mean, you got Bryce Young. You got
5'11",
just got cut from Arizona. I mean, even Caleb Williams is not that tall. I mean, so that's kind of the size. You're not seeing 6'4" guys. I mean, yeah, Fernando Mendoza is 6'3" or 4", I believe, but there's not that big of a difference. It really isn't. So I think to me, it's about if someone drafted a quarterback this year and said, we need this guy to play right away, we need him to start. Most of them probably don't. And so if you Ty Simpson, if you go to New York, the Jets, that's where players go to die as far as their career is concerned. So
well, I mean, they worked him out privately. They took him to dinner prior to Chuck's. They worked him out privately in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. We'll see. But that wouldn't. But again, you just want an opportunity. But that's not the best organization. I mean, Justin Fields like 6'4". How'd that work out? So don't tell me about 6'1", 6'4". I mean, and I do agree with Ty Simpson hasn't played a lot of football. I mean, he started 1 full year, played some games sparingly behind Jalen Milroe. But, yeah, he hasn't played a ton of football. But again, my era of playing the National Football League, you can draft quarterbacks 1st round, 2nd round, but you're not expected to play these guys. You're bringing them to teach, to develop, to grow them, groom them to play behind the next guy. Like we had veteran guys. Like when I went to the Giants, we had Phil Simms, Super Bowl winning quarterback. Jeff Hostetler, a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And then the 3rd guy was Matt Cavanaugh. I don't know if many remember that name. He was a New England Patriots for years, played with us, ended up being a coach in the National Football League, still may be coaching. Those were the three quarterbacks. So if you got a guy, it was kind of like, we're grooming him to play later on. When I got to Minnesota, same type of thing. You had Ronald Cunningham, Jeff George, and I came over as free agents. And then you had a Dante Culpepper, who they drafted from Central Florida, I believe, is where he went to school. But he ended up being a starter, down the road. So why? You can groom, you can build guys up. But that's the sad thing now. If you're expecting to get a rookie quarterback to come in and win right away, although Caleb Williams had done an outstanding job with the Bears. Bryce Young, he's taken a couple of years to get the Panthers, to the playoffs for the first time in a long time. It just takes time. And the thing is, these teams are not patient with these guys anymore. All right, it's kind of like you gotta come in and do things right away. If that's the case, you better have a great running game. You better have a very established veteran-oriented offensive line that can protect the kid, or else you're gonna have a horrible offense. So the system is just kind of whacked out based on these quarterbacks. But Ty Simpson can play. I think he just needs to go somewhere where he don't have to play right away, so he can learn and grow. And I think he's been a coach's son. He's smart. He's a film junkie. He knows the game from a X and O standpoint. He can read defenses. That's what you're getting. But he don't need to be a guy that can play right away. And I don't think Fernando Mendoza is the same thing. They don't need to be guys that have to play football right away. If they do, you're going to be on a bad team anyway. If you draft the number one, you're bad. And that's normally the case, and the quarterback is normally that position that they're trying to fill, but they're not going to be any good, whoever it is, if he's a starting quarterback.
Fair enough. No, I agree. I think he's gonna be a fine NFL quarterback, but definitely think it'll benefit him. Maybe not being thrown into the fire just yet, but we'll have to see, man. We'll have to see. We're a few weeks out from. I'm looking forward to it. All right, I'm gonna run. Appreciate you joining. Jump on tomorrow if you wish. Wednesday if you're free.
Yeah, the guy said you haven't aged. I thought you were talking about me. I was going to say, yeah, I think I look good too. Crimson.
Oh,
all right, I'm out.
All right, sounds good, man. All right, we'll see you
later.
Watched somebody roll tape the other day. You haven't aged a day, brother. I appreciate it, man. I don't know. I definitely. I don't know. I've aged, man. Now I've been back. Lifting a little bit more than I had previously, but no, I'm still in solid shape, man. But definitely good stuff. Appreciate you guys again, real quick. Always reminding, like button on the way out. Subscribe if you guys haven't. If you're on X, man, go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe there. That way you stay up to date with the latest that we post there. We're doing a lot more over on YouTube and plan to do even more in the future. So make sure you guys do that. And that said, we'll be back tomorrow, same time. I might have to cut that out. Same time, same place. We'll see you guys then.